Baby. Hello, and if anyone happens to be watching, welcome to my stream. Welcome to Druttercup Plays. We are looking at Session 0 for Rolemaster Unified, which is the most recent edition of the venerable role-playing game from Iron Crown Enterprises. And shortly you can already see, but shortly you'll be able to hear young Fishy, who will be GMing as we carry on finishing up character creation for my character and his father, inexplicably. So, I will just let people know we are alive, she says optimistically. And then I will unmute Fish and he can do a big explanation as to what we're going to be doing today. Thank you very much, she says. Okay. Well, my ad break's about to start, so there's fun.
Are you with us, Drat?
I am with you. In soul, if not spirit.
I've unmuted you again.
That's nice to know. Right.
So, what we're looking at the moment on my screen, I probably ought to have Drat's stream up so I can see what is going on that stream.
Not a lot at the moment, to be fair.
What we're looking at the moment on my stream is the front end for ERA, this electronic assistant for Rolemaster. And that gives us a set of options. We have the adventuring option, the gaming table option, which is in beta, the character status, character sheet, character creation, and treasure and other tables options. So what we're going to want to do today is we're going to want to go to the character sheet for the characters that we are working out. So we click character sheet, and that brings us this screen, which tells us that no character is loaded, but up in the top right-hand corner, it's got a load from server or load from file. File obviously lets you grab a character from your own hard drive or whatever. So if you're playing with more than one GM, for example, you can save your character locally to import into another. But load from server will load it from my machine, and I can scroll down and I can find Stinius, which is her father. It currently has 4 save files because I saved at each level as I was upping this. So it's got a level 0 pre-adolescent, level 1, 2, and 3, and I can load the level 3 version. Drut, Stivas only has a level 0 pre-adolescent at the moment, so Drut will be loading up that for her character.
She will in a moment.
That opens onto something that is vaguely recognizable as kind of a character sheet. Definitely, yeah, I'm going to be leveling up Stinius at least as many levels as Drut does. So that would keep him kind of like 3 levels ahead of his kid, which seems to make sense to me.
Okay.
He probably should be a bit higher level based on his age, but I'm also going to say that as a single parent and as a refugee, he hasn't necessarily leveled as quickly since he arrived in Oxford. When he leveled up quite quickly when he was young, I suppose, because at that point, he was trying not to be killed by his own people, and then he was running away from the swamp.
Also, hello, Ray.
But then he's kind of slowed down a little bit after that.
Okay, so I need to open my character sheet, which means I need to find the right window, which means I need to go to the right browser, which is a bigger challenge than you may have thought.
So on
is it character sheet or character status?
You want character sheet, and then the load from server is in the top right.
Oh, right, okay. Stivas.
And that, Stivas, pre-adolescent level 0 Stivas.
Oh, he's merely an egg.
You'll have...
Actually, literally.
You'll have... so, sort of going from the left, you've got a first box which has your name, level, hits, power points, which in Rolemaster is what you use to cast magic. Rather than having spell slots like D&D, Rolemaster charges you 1 power point for every spell level that you cast. So a level 1 spell costs 1 power point, a level 2 spell costs 2 power points, and so forth.
Yeah.
Unlike D&D, it also has a lot more spell levels. D&D, you get spell level 1. Taking a wizard, for example, you get spell level 1 at first level, then you get at third level you get 2, and it goes up to like 9 or so spell levels, depending on what edition you're playing. Rolemaster has often a spell at every level in a particular spell list. So what you will be doing is you'll be learning specific lists, and each rank you learn in that list will get you the next spell in that list. So there are rules for casting spells that are higher than your level, but normally you would learn at least up to your own level and be able to cast the spells on it. Stinius at level 3, he's really good at magic. He is a pure magic user, in his case using the realm of mentalism. So at level 3, he already has 54 power points. So that's 54 first level spells he can cast in one day at level 3, potentially.
Who has?
Although he does have up to Stinius, your father.
Oh, Stinius, sorry.
Yes,
I was just looking at the 6 3, I've got.
Already... No, at your stage, he didn't have any yet. He's picked up those 54 entirely in the first 3 levels. He had nothing at level 0. You're ahead of him at that level. And it says his realm is mentalism. I'm not sure. Ooh, PowerPoint modifications. Let's have a quick click on that just to see what it does. Right, so base 54, adjustment 0. So the little wand next to PowerPoints lets me select things like PowerPoint multipliers. In Rolemaster, there's a type of magic item called PowerPoint multiplier, which when you're using it, it literally multiplies the power that you put into a spell. So if you put 1 PowerPoint into it, it counts as 3, so it can cast up to a 3rd level spell with a times 3 multiplier. Times 3 multipliers are really powerful and not particularly common, obviously. So that's what that is. Underneath that, we have some abilities, a recovery multiplier, initiative, offensive bonus, and so on and so forth. None of these have been particularly set. It's got a base armor type of 4. That's down to his race, because these are lizard men, and they've got scaly skin, and that gives them base armor type of 4. In Rolemaster, as in 3rd edition onwards D&D, the higher your armor type, the better. Although in this edition it goes from 1 to 10, whereas in the previous editions it always went up to 20 and had a wider range of armor types. Now they've kind of compacted it down and given you more modifications, more tweaks within each armor type. Size, defensive adjustment, again, defensive size adjustment rather, there doesn't have anything for that. Hello, Hiram, welcome aboard.
Hey, Hiram.
Technically, that should be Drut saying that. You're in Drut's channel, but hey.
Yeah.
Just thought I would speak so that you would recognize who the strange, blurred whistleblower on Drut's channel. Actually, it's not looking bad at the moment.
It's you're looking okay.
You're looking okay. I no longer look like I should be playing a strange voice pattern as well to hide my identity. Right of that box, we've got our stats box. And stats in Rolemaster are on a percentile scale. And we have two values for each attribute, each statistic, which is a temporary value, which is what it's currently at, and a potential value, which is what it can potentially hit. So every time you level up, you get to make stat gain rolls to see whether your stats will improve. There's a chance of your stats going down as well. And it gives a very good system for dealing with things like attribute draining monsters. In something like D&D, if you take ability damage, they had to carefully construct rules for how that recovers, things like that. Rolemaster doesn't care about that. You take ability damage, that ability has gone down, but only its temporary value. So as you level up, it can recover. So you heal really slowly from ability damage in Rolemaster. It's quite unpleasant. There are magics that can speed it up, but you don't need to be requiring high-level spells to get those attribute points back. You just need to level up. Then you get a bonus based on the value, your temporary value, and then a bonus based on your race. there's a space for any special bonuses, which we don't have, and then a total bonus, which is what's actually applied when you're rolling dice. So in the case of Stinius's intuition, for example, he has got a grand total. Why is his intuition? Oh yeah, that's why his intuition bonus is so high, because his intuition is awesome. He has an intuition of 95 on a 1 to 100 scale, potential 96, so it can only go 1 point higher. But he's currently therefore got a +10 bonus. Now, in D&D terms, that would only be the equivalent of a +2 bonus, because D&D uses a D20 instead of a D100, so therefore every 5 points is 1 point in D&D terms. But the difference is that when you use skills in Rolemaster, you use 3 skills, so three attributes rather, so 3 bonuses get added to that. So if he finds a skill, for example, that is maybe intuition, and presence, he'd be adding 27 for his attributes. I don't know if such a skill exists. Maybe it does, but that's the way that works. Then we have his defenses next. He's not wearing any armor. He's 84 because that's what he is naturally. He has a defensive bonus of +9. That's taken from his quickness. His quickness is bonus is +3. So that 3 times makes up his defensive bonus. It's how good he is at getting out of the way. And then he's got his resistance roll bonuses. Resistance rolls are the equivalent of D&D saving throws. And they work slightly differently. They work more like the RuneQuest or Call of Cthulhu resistance rolls, in which you don't roll against a direct number, you compare levels. So level 3 against level 3 is a 50-50 chance, essentially. And then it varies. If the attacker is higher or lower level, it varies that. But you also get to add your appropriate bonus. So he is a mentalist, so you would expect his best bonus to be against mentalism. And indeed, we see that his stat bonus of +7 brings him to a total of +23 when rolling against mentalism, which is pretty darned good. So that's the top part of our character sheet. Eventually, that's the stats and things. Then down at the bottom of the page, we have a number of tabs. We're on characteristics. To level up, we need to go to skills. But before we go to that, let's quickly jump to the information tab. And this is where we would fill in, for example, our character background and so forth. Some of this has been done for us because it's filled in the information that we know from character creation. We know that his culture is urban. Technically, Stinius probably wouldn't be urban because he was actually born in the swamps. But I made that mistake when I created him, and I'm just not going to change it. Go back and change it now. And then we get his information on his race, like his natural armor, his natural weaponry. He has claws as well as those scales. His sight bonuses, his tetrachromatic vision, third eyelid. And then he has his professional bonuses, which were selected during the adolescent character creation section, which determines skill rank bonuses that he gets. So for his base spells,
Fish freezes.
Bonus 1-off +5 bonus when casting spells from his base spells list, and also +1 per rank. Most of them are just +1 per rank, but there's 2 of them that get a +5 bonus. You also get a flat +5 bonus on influence. On the history tab, we can see each previous level of the character. So we can go back and see what changed at each level, what skills he learned at each level if we want to, which is something that on a pen and paper game you just don't have. But here it's all recorded for you, which is kind of cool. And then inventory, nothing at the moment. We haven't given him any items. So if we go back to the skills, which is what we were saying we needed to go to, if I don't accidentally click in the wrong place, we have our skills list. And it's a good long skills list. Not as long as Rolemaster standard system, but it is a good long skills list. And we can narrow that down if we want to, because we've got little tabs telling us we are showing, currently we're on all skills. This is slightly annoying that it doesn't tell us what tab we're currently on.
I was just thinking that.
I would be happier if it highlighted the one that we're currently on. It defaults to all skills, But we can also go, for example, we can go to developed skills, which will only list the ones I've put points into, or we can go to positive, which will only list the ones that we have a positive bonus in.
I am at level 0. I need to level up.
Yes, tier is vitally important. So,
tier is good.
Along the same line as where it's telling us what skills, or where it's letting us select what skills we're showing, at the far side, it tells you your current level and has a level up button. Ta-da! So when we press level up, a very minor and subtle change happens. What happens is, well, actually, no, when we press level up at my level, when Drut levels up, she won't automatically get stat gain rolls. She can buy stat gain rolls. I believe it's the cost of 4 development points per roll.
Right.
By pressing the stat gain button. Every level beyond that.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. When you press level up, that level up button will disappear and be replaced with telling you what level you're going from and to. This is unfortunately behind me, so it doesn't show on screen. How many development points you've got left, which is a flat 60 normally.
Oh, 61.
But for the first few levels, you might get a bonus based on your race. The bonus
I had a point left over.
Solar Gear is very low. Yeah, the bonus for Solar Gear is very low because they get stuff for being Solar Gear. Humans get a massive bonus. They get about plus 50 to spend over the course of the first couple of levels, because the humans are crap, basically. So they get helped with skill bonuses. And then there's a stat gain button, which will bring up the dialogue that is visible on my screen now. This lets you roll to improve your stats. So you can either roll the die and fill the number in, which I'm sure is what Drut will do if she does any stat gain rolls, or you can press the little butterfly icon to have it roll for you. So because I'm leveling up, I get 2 stat gain rolls automatically when I level up. You don't get these at level 1, but you do for all the other levels.
Right. I'm going to go. I'm actually going back to my screen. No, it's okay. I turned off my virtual camera on OBS in favour of my direct camera feed, because my direct camera feed will do green screen properly, and the OBS one just sits there and goes, no.
Okay, fair enough.
So I figured I may as well.
So what it does. Yeah. The die that you roll is based on the difference between your temporary and potential stat. The bigger the difference, the bigger the die you roll.
Ooh.
And then when you roll it, it just adds that number, and your stat goes up, with obviously a maximum being its potential. It can't go above its potential. So in my case, I do kind of want to boost my quickness, my presence, because that's the thing that's used for my mentalist magic. But on the other hand, I've already got a 93 out of 100. So
I'm thinking
is indeed a D100.
I am thinking I am going to have to spend, I think, 2 stat game rolls at level 0, because I'm thinking a go at upping my reasoning would be good.
You've just got some stats that you want to be better.
Well, I quite like the 56s to be higher on the whole.
In my case, you probably aren't supposed to be able to see the IP. We didn't think to hide it. In my case, it doesn't matter because mine's an internal IP, so it's not going to make any difference anyway. In Drut's case, I suppose that's an external IP.
No, it's gone.
And thank you for reminding us of that, Hiram. Because
thank you for the reminder, though.
About it. Just going full screen on the browser or something would solve that problem, wouldn't it?
I actually meant to use crop on the browser window, which I probably should do anyway.
Yeah.
Let me just play silly beggars.
I think for Stinius, I want to up one of his lower stats. He's got, unfortunately, his constitution is his lowest stat, but is also already at its potential. So I can't raise that. So I'm going to try and up his agility, which is 56 out of a possible 78. So let's give a random roll on that. That's giving him a 5. Oh, the bookmarks on mine are extremely telling. They're mostly me. Bookmark to my coffee page. Bookmark to my Twitch. Bookmark to Drive Through RPG with my affiliate link included. And my bin collection day from Thanet District Council is the other bookmark, strangely appearing on screen.
So not appearing on stream. Let's take top 50.
Yeah, so I'm going to accept that +5 to my agility. And then I get one more free improvement. I'm going to try and improve my empathy. That's going up by 4. So that then takes me back to the skills page. And I've still got 60 DPs left because those were free. I didn't have to pay for them. This column in the middle, that you can't see very clearly on the stream, you can see that it's there and that's about it. But the one with all the orange boxes, that's where I'm adding new skill ranks. And each of those orange boxes is showing the number of ranks I'm adding at this level. And if I mouse over it, it's got a little up and down arrow that let me add and remove ranks from what I'm adding now. There's one skill that, and this will appear on Druts as well, there is one skill that does not have an orange box, and that is Perception Sight. The reason for that is that there is no Perception Sight skill. Perception is just perception. You don't need to learn it for different senses. The reason this is showing a Perception Sight skill is because the race, Solar Gear, they have a +10 bonus on sight-based perception rolls. And how the software is representing that is it's giving us a perception sight skill, which is just a copy. We can't change that. It's just a copy of the perception skill with an additional +10 bonus. So that when we look at our character sheet, we can see that we've got an extra +10 if we're rolling for sight, which is quite a neat way of doing it. Yes.
Think of what else to do. Did you say that you get the free stat game rolls when you level up any time other than level 0?
Stat game rolls when you level up. Now, something we need to decide, we don't absolutely need to decide it before you level up this time, but we do need to decide is what level we're going to start you at, whether you're going to be the pre-adolescent kid or whether we're going to go a little bit further and put you at apprentice level.
Please don't make me a child. Fish, I don't mind being young, but please don't make me a toddler.
Yeah. At level 2, you would be a teenager. Which,
excellent,
to be honest, is a good starting level for a fantasy role-playing game anyway. Something that strangely has changed over the years, because I think we paid more attention to, history back in the good old days of murder hobos than we do now in the days of in-depth high character narrative role-play.
God, I can't stand murder hobos.
And our characters tended to be, first level D&D characters tended to be like 16, 17, because that's the age they would have been going out into the world doing this stuff. Now, quite often you will find first level D&D characters at much higher ages. In fact, in Pathfinder First Edition, the stock wizard, they had these iconic characters in Pathfinder First Edition. And the iconic wizard was, I think, in his 50s at first level. So there was a bit of a, are you just stupid or are you lazy? Why have you not leveled up in the last 30 years?
You know how it is. Netflix, probably. There's something to do. Okay.
So level 2 would make you a junior apprentice or an apprentice at level 3, and you would be a teenager at level 2 or a young adult at level 3.
Right.
I think either one of those would be a reasonable place to start. I will let you decide, and I'm fine with you leveling up to level 2 and then deciding no, you want to be level 3 instead. If you want to do it that way, you don't have to make the decision right now.
Okay, magical expertise.
Perception, think that's what's that? It's the thing that I don't have, or I would have responded to that statement earlier.
Okay, so I am looking at magical expertise, I suspect. Race, spell, trickery, and transcendence. Okay, that's not necessarily what I'm looking for. So, spellcasting.
Those. The spellcasting section of your character sheet is your actual spell lists.
Yeah.
And that will list separately. It will list your base lists. And because I believe you are also a mentalist,
I am.
A pure spell user mentalist, you will find that those have a cost of 1/2. So that means that the first rank in a spell list that you buy costs you 1 development point, and a second rank costs you a further 2. And you then can't do you can't do any more.
Okay, so open and base and open both cost 1/2.
Those are cheap. Closed are slightly more expensive.
Yep.
The reason for this is closed spell lists are less powerful than base spell lists, but they're also a little bit more versatile because those are available to all semi or pure mentalist spell users can learn closed lists. Open lists are the easiest possible spell lists. Anybody can learn that. So even a fighter with no magical training at all, it'll be expensive for them, but they can learn open spell lists from a single realm and have a little bit of magic because those are the easiest ones to do.
Oh.
The little book icon next to the name of any list, if you click on that, it will pop up the spell list, what's on that list. You won't get the full description, but you'll get the name and the parameters such as, area of effect, range, etc.
Oh.
So, for example, gas manipulation, our first level spell is condensation. We can look that up elsewhere if we want to see what it does. I have a print copy of the spell lore book. I can look it up in nice and easy.
Can I just check that I am remembering correctly that... Sorry, I apologise. My I think my pill might be about to wear off and I'm just having a bit of a gear change. However many ranks you've got in that spell list is how the rank of spells that you can cast.
Yeah, you will know spells up to that level. So if you have 3 ranks in a spell list, you will know the first 3 levels of spells.
Okay, no problem.
For example, I've got 4 ranks in Mind Attack on Stinius so far.
Funny,
so that means that he already knows the Jolts 1, Hesitation, Agony, and Shock A lists. And if I grab spell lore, nice big book of spells, and I find mentalism, which is going to be here. That's the open mentalist lists. I don't want the open mentalist lists. I don't want the closed mentalist lists. I want
base mentalist list
for a mentalist.
Right, so people can see I'm taking because I'm taking both ranks that I can at level 0 to 1. I'm taking 2 ranks in mind control, which is honest answer and sleep.
Yes. So, honest answer, as you might expect, the target must answer a single concept question truthfully, assuming the target can understand the question. Now, isn't assuming target can understand the question just such a nicer way of phrasing it than the target must share a language with the spellcaster, which is so open to abuse.
Yeah.
Because if you speak Common and Orcish, and your target when you cast a spell speaks Common, you can ask them a question in Orcish in D&D, and they'll still be able to, and they'll still have to answer it because you share a language. That's the way it's phrased in D&D.
No. Is it?
I far prefer assuming target can understand the question.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. The way things are phrased in various editions of D&D is that you have to share a language. From 3rd onwards, they use that
right. So I want
sleep. Unsurprisingly, target falls into a natural sleep. The first round of sleep is magical. The target cannot be awakened through normal means. Falling asleep is rapid, but not so instantaneous that the victim cannot slump gently to the ground, i.e. no injuries under normal circumstances from falling to the ground. Of course, if they happen to be standing on the edge of a cliff when you cast it, that could be another matter.
Yeah. So so far I'm taking the 2 ranks that I'm entitled to in most of my bases, in fact. Got level 2 in Mind Merge, Mind Control, and Mind Attack. I'm debating Mind Speech. Mentalist Tongue, probably ought to take that, and Prepare Mind. That strikes me as reasonably essential, because Prepare Mind 1, if I recall correctly, gives a bonus to later
Prepare
mind tongue.
You enter a trance-like state to mentally prepare to be the recipient of a mind tongue spell. While under the effects of the spell, any incoming mind tongue spell has its range increased to 10 times normal.
That just sounds so rude.
That sounds a bit rude, doesn't it? Yeah. And put in mind from Robin Williams live at the Met. We must propagate the species, but then we must have a conversation afterwards. Which is why I'm looking for a woman who gives mind, if you know what I mean.
I hate you so much. Okay, presence and feel 1, please. Because I'm guessing this doesn't make me run around saying I sense great pain.
Okay, so presence and just presence at level 1 of presence you want to know about.
Presence and feel 1.
Yeah, okay. So presence, caster is aware of the presence of all sentient thinking beings within range. It has a... That's poorly phrased in this particular edition because it has a range of self. But what they mean is within the area of effect, which is 10-foot radius per level.
Okay.
So at level 1, you can go, I sense the presence of the person who is within 10 feet of me and I can tell is there anyway, even without casting a spell. But at higher levels, it starts getting to be really useful. And obviously, it does detect invisible people.
Yeah.
Feel 1, caster gets a general idea of the race and level of one being. This being must first be located by presence true, or awareness.
Okay.
So presence is necessary before you can feel somebody. I'm sorry about this. Yeah. Phrasing. You need to cast presence to identify that somebody is there before you can then scan them using the second level spell that I refuse to say the name of again, in order to get an idea of their race and level. So, for example, if there is an invisible person, as I mentioned, you can go, presence, there's an invisible person here, there's someone we can't see. Feel 1, they're a human level 3.
Right. Have you shut up or have you gone mute? Oh, you just shut up. Oh, that's weird. Your hand just vanished. Okay, that's creepy. Right. So I.
Yeah, this cup is semi-transparent on green screen. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I apologise if I wince or start trying not to scratch my face while scratching my face. Yeah, I have sunburn basically all the way down one side of my face, which seems to have happened through a car window, so I'm not happy. Sense control.
First thing I've done for Stinius at this level is I've given Stinius 1 additional level in each of his base spells. So he's slightly ahead of level on some of them because I gave him extra ranks in presence, sense control, and mind attack. So this means that he can try to cast those spells. It's more dangerous casting a spell higher level than you.
Right.
He can try to cast those higher level spells. And that's where the grace skill comes in. That reduces the difficulties, the penalties, and the dangers of doing so.
Am I causing myself no end of trouble then by giving myself 2 ranks at level 0 to 1?
No, what you're doing is you're giving yourself options.
Oh, okay.
Now, I will need to read through the spellcasting rules in this edition to be 100% sure, because I know the earlier editions better. In Rolemaster Classic, let's say, if you cast a spell that was not directly attacking someone,
right,
what's called a base spell, it had something like a 2% chance of failure. So you needed to make a roll just to see whether it failed, but 3 or above on the dice was going to succeed.
Yeah.
If you try and overcast and use a spell that is higher than your level, that number goes way up. Right. And there's also a penalty applied to the mishap roll should you get a spell failure. So something worse could happen if it fails, and the chance of it failing is higher. But the grace skill is used to somewhat reduce that and make life easier.
I'm thinking that I'm going to need to take the first... I'm going to take as many spells as I can get, basically. I'm a little spell tart. at this stage. I am thinking, however,
you're a pure
numbing.
spell user. That's the thing that you're best at.
I am thinking numbing sounds potentially interesting.
Numbing?
Yes.
Yes, random limb of target is numb and useless.
I'm sorry, a small child would learn this.
The way that will work the way that works in this edition is they've tied all of the critical results to hit locations. So essentially, you can make a percentile roll on a critical chart, ignore the critical result, and just take the location and numb that limb, essentially.
Mm. Now, you see, I know a lot of people will be thinking in terms of, oh gosh, yes, when someone's giving treatment, to an injury or something, but no, this is a prank.
Yeah. And as for the neurotypicality being low, this is a dual stream by two neurodiverse or neurodivergent streamers. I think there's kind of an inevitability that there's going to be a lack of neurotypicality.
Hey, Kate.
Oh, Catherine, Kate, welcome aboard. Thank you for coming in and waving the neurotypical flag for us.
Yep.
Perfect timing.
Raising the level above 0. Although these two of you aren't diagnosed yet, so that's not necessarily a problem.
I'm not diagnosed. I don't care. I've got it.
Yeah, I know. I was going to look at Grace actually, since you just mentioned it.
Yes.
And also, since I'm here, power development, which I assume is PowerPoint development.
Yes, PowerPoints are developed using the power development skill. This is another thing I quite like about Rolemaster. Everything is skill-based in this. So rather than most level-based games give you a certain amount per level just for leveling up. So, for example, D&D obviously is the best-known one. Your spellcasting ability goes up simply by leveling in your spellcasting class. Your fighting ability goes up simply for leveling in your class. Your hit points go up simply for leveling in your class. All three of those things are skill-based in Rolemaster. If you level up your wizard and do not spend any development points on improving your magical ability, you will get no better at magic just for leveling up. You won't even get more power points if you don't put points into PowerPoint development.
I have put
your fighter
both
won't gain additional hit points if you don't put points into body development.
Am I right in thinking you can only get as many ranks as there are numbers in the cost? So
correct.
Yeah.
Earlier editions had sometimes 3 values in the cost, and sometimes they had an asterisk.
Yeah.
And that let you buy more ranks, but for Rolemaster Unified, they've cut it down to just 2 ranks per level at maximum. For example, a lot of the pure spell user classes had 1, 2, 3, for example, for letting you learn up to 3 spell list ranks per level. And partly that went down to because in the early days, instead of you knowing as many spells as your ranks determined your chance of learning a spell list, and you learnt it up to, I think for a pure spell user, you learnt the first 10 levels when you got it.
Gotcha.
But it was a percentage chance. You could spend 3 ranks in it and still not get the spell list. But that 15% chance would then stack with whatever you spent on it next level.
Who's eaten Grace? Grace is around here somewhere.
Eventually you'd learn it. But
there it is.
It makes much more sense just to use this, which was an option back from Rolemaster 2nd edition, that each rank learnt is 1 spell.
Question. So, you've got the rule books, mate.
Literally, all it tells us is Grace reduces penalties for casting spells of a higher level than the caster.
Yeah, it wasn't actually Grace I was looking at. I've taken Grace. I knew I was taking that because I was listening to what you said earlier. However, I would like to know what spell trickery and transcendence do.
Spell trickery reduces penalties to spellcasting due to attempts to hide or modify its visual effect, if the visual spells option rule is used, or hand and voice usage. This must be specialized in a specific list. Now, mentalism is the easiest to hide of all of the types of magic. So spell trickery probably less useful for a mentalist, but not completely unuseful. If I find the magic chapter, if I look in the contents to know where the magic chapter is, because I could be moving in the wrong direction through the book. Magic. Is it even going to be in this book, or do I need to look in spell lore? Yeah, I'm going to look in spell lore. I think it's in there.
Okay.
Kind of makes sense, I suppose. This is the magic book.
Right,
it's probably got the magic rules in.
Let's move over.
Casting spells. There we go.
Okay.
Page 30 something. So. Right, casting spells is not automatic. Such casting takes one or a few rounds, expends power points, and it always involves the risk of spell failure. Even if the spell is successfully cast, the targets may have a chance to resist the described effect.
Okay.
Okay, so in order to cast a spell, the caster must have ranks in the spell list on which the spell appears to the level of the spell or higher. E.g., in order to cast a 6th level spell, the caster must have at least 6 ranks developed in the spell list. The number of spells that can be cast by a character is dependent upon available power points or alternative means of providing power, i.e. magic items, and the level of the spells cast. Casting spells in a combat situation is governed by Core Law Section 8.1, which assigns a cost in action points, blah, blah, blah. Spellcasting roll. Right, subtlety penalties. Where are you listing the subtlety penalties? Here they are. So the subtlety penalties are for, surprise, surprise, casting a spell subtly, concealing the magic of a spell to the extent possible. For example, a firebolt spell will necessarily create a blast of fire at the target, but if cast with subtlety, it may not be obvious where it came from.
Reasonable.
So the modifiers are different based on the realm of magic you're using and the type of spell you're using. So elemental spells are the hardest to cast subtly.
Right.
But honestly, mentalism's not going to have a lot of elemental spells.
No.
Force spells, slightly easier. Informational spells, 0 modifier for subtlety. You can cast an informational spell with no on the quiet with no penalty for your chance of casting it if you're a mentalist. There are penalties for channeling an essence. You know, if you're a wizard, you've still got to wave your hands around and chant probably, and therefore it's not subtle. But if you're a mentalist, you just concentrate and you get your informational spell.
I'm just going to buzz to my information to remind myself of what I already have. Oh, yes, he's a claw specialist. That's it. He's did we say it was unarmed combat or combat? I'm sorry, tetrachromatic vision is very much I just look like a I see the same way as a mantis shrimp. Right. Professional bonus, grace +1 per rank. Okay. What does that do?
So yeah, what that means is your actual bonus in grace, you'll get an extra 1 point for every rank that you buy in it.
Okay. That's cool. Right. Okie dokie. I'm feeling body development because I'm scared now.
Because you want the hit points.
Because I'd like any hit points at all, please, sir.
Well,
that's
you get some
making expensive
already, but yeah,
that's half my bleeding development points. Well, remaining development points.
Wizards don't tend to spend a lot of time, working out and improving their health. They tend to spend a lot of time in cramped rooms, reading books and playing with strange ingredients.
Just the way it is. That's not a thing. I don't play with strange ingredients. I am, however, going to up my claw attack. Question is, am I going to up my claw attack as much as I can? Yes, I am. Wow, I've got sod all left. That's good. We like that. That's fun. Right, I've got 4 points left for level 0. What does meditation do, and is it worth my while? Ditto mental focus, please, under mental discipline.
Okay. So.
And what's a directed spell when it's at home?
Now, directed spell is kind of what it says on the tin, but I will give you the proper description. Okay, so under mental discipline, meditation can be used to enter and exploit a mental trance which the character can use to help solve difficult problems or perform mental maneuvers.
Okay.
To use this skill, the character must meditate for 5 minutes. With a successful maneuver, the character gets a plus 25 the following round to all mental actions, such as tuning a magic item, casting a spell, using a lore skill, etc. You basically, it is going into a trance focused on the task you want to perform and getting plus 25, which in D&D terms is plus 5 to do that. Mental focus is used to maintain concentration for extended periods of time, or while stunned, or when concentrating on 2 things at once. A GM may also require a mental focus roll in extremely stressful, chaotic, or confusing situations.
Right. Okay, well, we'll definitely have a rank of meditation. Because why the hell not?
So yeah, as an example, if you get stunned while you're trying to maintain a concentration spell, it'd be a mental focus roll to not lose that concentration.
Okay.
In D&D terms, it's the concentration skill.
Okay, I've got 2 DPs left.
Now, directed spells.
Okay.
Directed spells are types of magical attacks that are directed or aimed at a target. This skill provides the offensive bonus for such attacks, but does not create the attack itself, which must be created by casting an applicable spell.
Right.
So in other words, your directed spells skill adds to your attack roll with a spell.
Going to be taking that then. Or at least a rank in it, because that's all I can afford.
Yeah. The way stats affect these, by the way, is that each category, you can see this on the skills list.
Yeah.
Each category has 2 stats. So if we look at, for example, magical expertise, where we were just looking a moment, and mental discipline, where we are now. Okay. Mental discipline is presence and self-discipline. So those 2 stats always apply. And then each skill has its own 3rd stat. Now, in mental discipline, it's self-discipline for all of them. But in other skills, it varies from
what is my self-discipline? Oh, it's only 62. That's kind of pants. Yeah, 62 is kind of pants on self-discipline.
But you get the bonus from that twice when using one of these. True. Because it's in mental discipline as a category, and also it's the skill, specific skill stat. It will show you what your stat bonus is on your skills page.
I know, I just went back to my characteristics.
It goes cost, rank, stat. So your father, for example, for meditation gets a whole +2 total bonus, because your stat bonus is not good for self-discipline. If I remember rightly, that's one of the things you get a penalty as.
Yeah, it is.
As a solo gear. So solo gear mentalists, not desperately common, which might explain why you 2 are not living among your own people.
I can't up my perception sight. Okay, that's fine.
No, I did explain that earlier on, but you were probably still messing around with your camera at the time.
I wasn't messing around.
I will run through it again. There is no separate perception sight skill. The reason it's listed one on the character sheet is because you get a bonus on perception rolls when using sight.
Oh, right, okay.
So what it's done, the software duplicates your perception skill with that bonus included, and you can't change it. It will always track your perception skill with an additional +10 bonus.
Earth thing you call perception, then? Oh dear. Well, that's embarrassing.
I think actually I'm going to take another level in perception for Stinius.
Well, I have burned through all of my stat points, all of my development points, so I guess I better tick it, and presumably that will apply everything.
Yeah, if you've gone through them all, you press the tick to accept what you have done, and then you will then be leveled up. Yeah.
Yeah. So mate, I need to do something else.
I think I'm gonna give him some combat, even though it uses an awful lot of his development points. I'm going to give him some sweeps to back up his claw attacks.
Okay.
And I'm going to improve his writing composition, because that's what he's doing as a living.
What did I say I was doing as a living, apart from dicking around?
Well, you're going to be an adventurer for a living.
Well,
so,
yes.
What does it matter?
That's dicking around, really? To be fair.
9 points left. Let's go back to spells for the. Actually, have I got power points yet at this level? No, I haven't got any more power points yet for this level, but he does already have 54, so that's not desperately important. I'll give him one more level of power development.
I seem to recall.
Give him his first rank in directed spells because he's a nice guy and he doesn't target people, even though he has 4 levels of the mental attack list. He has not actually got a bonus in directed spells until now.
So I have a vulnerability to electricity light, if I recall correctly, which was determined earlier. It's just listed under the elemental susceptibility thing, and it wasn't specified, but I seem to recall that I picked electricity light knowing full well that every bugger is going to be throwing jolt at me.
Yeah, shock bolts are one of the most common spells in the
an idiot
in the game.
The technical term is idiot.
Well, we have 3 DPs left. Let's get another rank in charm.
Okay, so natural armor, natural weaponry, gecko eyes, petrochromatic vision, that's just fun to say, and a third eyelid. So my talents, I've got inglorious failure. Okay. Oh dear God, yes. Oh whoops. Why did I pick that? Why did you let me pick that? When you suffer a spell failure, your spell failure roll is increased by 5 per tier. Okay, fine. Spatial skills.
That's where you really don't want to fail when you're overcasting.
Yeah. Spells from one of your spell lists work at a greater distance than normal and have their ranges increased by 50%. I have vestigial wings, which basically let me glide a little bit. Give me a bonus to jumping. Elemental susceptibility. And I'm a heavy sleeper. Hate to have to say this, he's a preteen. Of course he's a heavy sleeper.
Heavy sleeper. So you're thinking of maybe buying that off later, huh?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And then the rest are professional bonuses. So, let's go back to skills. And let's level up again from 1 to 2, since I'm going to be starting at level 2, apparently. So, oh, hello. Now I get the stat game rolls. Right, pick one stat to roll the specified data. Oh God, I only get one. Oh no. Okay, so it's going to be self-discipline.
Interesting. They've slightly changed the spell failure in this edition.
Yeah.
Rather than having a spell failure chance, it used to be like, I think, 2% spell failure chance. Now this is an open-ended roll. All skill rolls in Rolemaster are open, which means if you roll 5 or less, or 96 or above, you roll again, and either subtract from the original roll or add to the original roll.
Mm-hmm.
If your final spellcasting roll comes out as a negative number, that's when you get a spell failure.
Okay. Right.
And the penalty for overcasting is -20
Yikes.
for each level in excess of your own.
Yikes on the proverbial bike. Right, so I am going to try and up my self-discipline. I'm abandoning, apparently, empathy and reasoning to the gods.
I didn't mention earlier, when we were talking about subtlety on spell trickery, there are also modifiers for using your hands and using your voice based on the type of spell and the realm of spell that you're casting. Mentalism gives not a jot. Hands and voice are irrelevant for mentalist casters. It's all about mental focus. So,
okay, as long as I'm not sat there going this, we're fine.
Yeah, you never need to be worrying about whether you've got a free hand.
Okay. Right, so I'm rolling a d10 to try and up my self-discipline. So let's see what that gives me. So that is a roll of, yes, that's a roll of 7. I don't know what that will give me, so let's put 7 in. Let's find my keyboard. It's dark. Oh, that puts my new temporary up to 69, because it is just a straight D10. What else am I going to try and up? After accepting this dialogue, you'll get one more chance to choose another stat. Okay.
Yeah, you get 2 stat gain rolls. So it presents you with the dialogue and you choose a stat gain roll.
Gotcha, done. Yep, right, okay.
Roll one, accept it. Then it'll pop up again and you can do another one.
Fish, remind me, is reasoning used a lot for spell checking? Mentalism? I don't think it is it?
Presence is your main stat.
Yeah, presence not a problem. My presence is sat at 99.
And memory is the other stat that is applied to your spell casting.
Yeah, it's 92.
Your actual spell list.
Right, okay.
So you're good at casting spells. Reason doesn't kick in on power manipulation.
It's perception and stuff.
Magical expertise skills are special cases and don't have stat modifiers. So no, reason is more for like laws and things. It's not really going to affect magical. Spell law, yes. Oh, actually, no, not even spell law. That's intuition.
Okay. How about
memory, intuition for spell law?
Okay, let's look at empathy. So that's acting. My social stuff. So he's not a likable git at the moment. I might be best off. No, I can only put one stat up once. I can't put one stat up twice. I assume.
I'm not 100% certain that is true, but I will check.
Okay. The disarming. Disarming? What the hell is disarming? And hello, Commodore Z.
Yes.
Welcome to the shared chat. I was
disarming along.
We're having a three-way shared chat. That came out wrong.
Is disarming when you actually talk somebody into dropping their weapon?
Yep.
By lying.
Yes.
And yes, hello, Commodore Z. Welcome aboard. Just looking up. What was I looking up? Oh, yes, I was looking up whether you can use a development, a stat gain roll.
Yeah.
On the same stat twice. So let's look. Stat gains. Every time a character goes up a level of. Yeah, okay. That's a typo.
Okay.
Oh no, it's not a typo. It's just a slightly confused sentence. Every time a character goes up a level, or for level 2 and above when creating a character beyond first level, pick 2 stats to gain a stat gain roll, or 1 stat to get 2 rolls. So you can indeed use the same one twice, should you wish.
Okay, so I can take 2 rolls into the shower. Cool.
The game we are talking about at the moment is Rolemaster Unified, the current version of the Rolemaster RPG. Rolemaster has been around since 1980, I believe the first edition dropped, and has been through. Let's see. Rolemaster first and second edition were effectively the same game. Second edition repackaged it slightly and released an awful lot of new material. Then Rolemaster Standard System came out sometime in the 90s and really shook the game up quite a lot. That was repackaged as Rolemaster Fantasy Roleplay, where, again, as with first and second edition, same game, but repackaged, move a few bits about, release some new material. Then Rolemaster Classic was a re-release of Rolemaster second edition, repackaged. And in the meantime, they spent literally a decade working on this game. But I'm fairly certain that the company actually went bankrupt and changed hands at least once during the development of this game before we finally got to this one. So eventually Rolemaster Unified was released, which is supposed to be the best elements of all of the games. I'm not sure that I believe that, but it certainly seems to be a very playable game so far. I'm liking it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, quick plug for Missing Marbles there. Yeah,
leave me alone.
Yeah, it sounds like a good scenario.
I hope it is.
From what I know of it. Well, by playing Cyberpunk Red, I would almost certainly want to run it. Plus, it comes with the if you don't buy it separately, it also comes with the Loki Cyberpunk Red battle maps.
Yeah, which are awesome.
Battle maps that they did, which is very cool. So really good maps.
And there's a Sirenscape. There was a Sirenscape sound set for it as well.
Oh yes, and there's a Sirenscape sound set for it. Yeah.
What makes me laugh is I have just found
Yes, I've got a celebrity on my stream. I should have introduced you as a celebrity.
Oh, really. Shut up!
At the beginning of the stream, I shouldn't have said Drut. I should have said, successful game writer and freelancer who has worked with Onyx Path, Loki Battle Maps, Cyber, Artel Saurian Games.
I hate you.
And now me.
I hate you. I hate you. I wasn't trying to do the big I am. I'm still chuffed. It came out yesterday and I'm still quite happy with it.
Yeah.
Yes, camera is gone because I've gone completely red.
I would be over the moon in your position. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I did discover that the cat on the Sirenscape sound set for it is called Branston.
Branston. Is it a pickle?
I think he's owned by the guy who actually makes the sound sets. Because I've seen a picture of him with the microphone sat on the cushion in front of him, and Branston just mewed into it.
I want to say possibly Benjamin Loomis.
Quite possibly, actually,
I might be thinking of the wrong name, but I think that might be the guy
behind
I think, Sirenscape these days.
I think that's it. I think that is him, yeah. But whoever it is, they own a cat called Branston, which is adorable. And it's a gorgeous little thing. So no random stock sample of cat there on that stream. Though that sound set, no. So, it's bespoke.
They actually had to abuse their cats to get the sound set.
I can only assume that I don't know, maybe they just teased it with a bouncy thing or something. I don't know. What did you miss on the taking 2 rolls into the shower? It's a joke relating to a very old advert, which is I don't take 2 products into the shower. I just wash and go.
For wash and go.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't remember the name of the product until I went through the advert.
An awful lot of Brits, therefore, use taking 2 whatevers into the shower as a throwaway line these days.
Yeah.
I don't think your Onyx Path work is out yet, is it?
It isn't, no. I am doing something for Onyx Path, but it is NDA'd. Yes, what it actually is NDA'd.
All I know is that she's doing something for Onyx Path. I don't know anything more than that. I just included in people she's worked with.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. And I'm doing some more for Loki as well. But, right.
I think I'm right in saying, though, it's not vampire.
No, it's not vampire. It's not vampire. Very not. Very not. Okay, so am I going to take self-discipline again and try and get that 69 up to something better? Or am I going to up my empathy or reason? Both of which are kind of lagging behind.
Remember how to get a shout out of Twitch these days.
/ I think, isn't it? Shout?
Is it / shout?
I think so.
Maybe.
It's whichever command didn't used to be using the bot.
Let's try it and work and see. No, so it's not shout. It might be shout out. We'll try that.
Yeah, okay. It should start filling it in, actually.
Yes, there we go.
Oh, okay.
Shout out for Commodore Z. There we go. Whose streams are very good. I've been trying to catch up on the episodes. Very good Saxon Vampire Masquerade Saxon Age game.
Oh, in that case, fun. I definitely need to have a look at that. I also need to try and get into the last lot that Wandering DM was doing, because he just does so much vampire. But actually, he works for Onyx Path, so yeah. Periodically. Oh God, where are we? Okay, let's pick a roll. Okay, guys, do I up my empathy? Do I up my reasoning? Leave my self-discipline as is for now. Because 69 is not terrible. I think I'd better up my reasoning, because that's awareness and things. Okay, let's roll D10. Okay, today is the day I roll 7s. Fair enough.
I'm going to look at some of these closed mentalism spell lists for a moment for Stinius's next level, because closed spell lists can be rather good. They're not tied to a specific class, and they're a little bit more powerful than the open spell lists, though not as powerful as base spell lists. So what they do is they provide that kind of hybrid compromise between the things that your class is really good at and other things you might want to be able to do. And in particular, I'm going to look at the Mind's Door spell list. Now, level 1 of that, I've already given Stinius. That opens a door. Any bars or bolts that the caster can see will be displaced to allow opening, while locks have a 10% chance of being unlocked. Not a great chance if it's actually locked, but bars will move. Bars and bolts will actually just straight away unlock. That's at level 1. Level 2 starts to get really fun. Leave item. That does not mean that you're like me and you have to check your pockets before you go home in case you've left your keys in your locker, which I've done several times at work.
You leave your keys in your locker.
Keys in your locker, yep. Leave item 1. Caster teleports a single inanimate object to a point up to 100 feet away from its current location. There can be no intervening barriers in a direct line between the target and the point. For these purposes, a barrier is anything the object could not physically go through. The object has a maximum weight limit of 1 pound per level of the caster. This has got a range of 50 feet. So you can just, as a mentalism spell, no need to wave your hands, no need to say anything. You just concentrate and an object within 50 feet of you moves up to 100 feet in straight lines. That's just such a cool spell, frankly. Why would anyone not want that spell? The fun you could have with that.
Okay, yeah, apologies to anybody who is on my stream and is getting ads that are annoying. I have generally been getting the ones that fit around the outside of my feed. Annoying, but... I hadn't had any that had actually taken over yet, so apologies for that.
Let's also look at the Mind Mastery spell list, because at first glance, for a mentalist, Mind Mastery seems like a poor choice of spell lists. After all, that's pretty much what the base spell lists for a mentalist are. But the first level spell on Mind Mastery, Spell Store. Caster may cast this spell with another spell in order to store that second spell. The spell to be stored must be cast within 1 minute after the spell store is cast. The stored spell may then be cast later as an instantaneous spell. So the way that works, instantaneous spells require no preparation when using. So if you're going to cast something that is high enough level that requires you to take time over it to get a good chance of casting it, you can store that in a spell store and just throw it straight out as an instantaneous spell at a later date. So even just taking one level of that spell list for that and not caring about the rest of it, because the next one on is Presence, which we already have from the Presence spell list. And then we start getting there's a few useful spells beyond that, like Inner Wall, but that spell store spell just makes Mind Mastery worth learning the first level of, I feel.
Absolutely.
And it's only 2 development points, so we'll give Stinius that.
Oh, this isn't fair. I want all the spells. I need all the spells. I want all of them.
Yeah, that's always a problem with spell selection in any game.
Oh, sorry. I thought I had it set to the least egregious level of advertising. But having it as a short break every half hour means that there's no pre-roll ads. Which is marginally easier for people to cope with.
And And I suppose you've got the thing, you can see when an ad is coming and just not do anything interesting during the ad, can't you? Which, when you're not co-streaming with somebody else, is obviously much easier to manage.
Yeah, I usually try that. And that's when I'll be talking to subscribers because, of course, they get no ads.
Yeah.
Okay, I am going to look at what the various things. What's anticipations? Anticipate attack, anticipate defense. Please, sir, what is guess, and why can I not have it yet?
Okay, so which is that? Is that an open list?
It's open anticipations.
Yeah.
Patient.
Anticipate attack. Caster becomes aware of his primary foe's likely attack. If the caster parries, the DB gained from the parry is doubled. So in Rolemaster, when you go into combat, you can split your weapon skill between offensive and defensive, with parry being the defensive portion of that, essentially. So if you do that, you get double bonus if you've got the anticipate attack spell.
Right. And you can then call yourself Victor because that's pure thaumaturge.
Anticipate attack, yeah.
Oh god, the spell list
doesn't have a duration. It's an instantaneous spell, however.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm a moron. Yeah, the spell lists are written up underneath the list.
Why do you think that?
The full spell descriptions are underneath the lists. If you scroll down off the bottom of the list,
I had never scrolled that list. I had just assumed it went down as far as scrolling 50, just took you down to the level 19 and beyond.
Yep.
I hadn't realised the spell descriptions were there, but yes, so they are. Whoops.
Yep.
So yeah, we're both morons if you're a moron.
I'm a book. I'm a jack.
Put the book away then.
Sorry. Apologies.
Okay, so yeah. Era software slightly better than I thought it was.
Okay, guess. When faced with a choice about which caster has little or no information, e.g. which corridor leads to the wine cellar, the caster may cast this spell and the games master will determine which choice the caster actually makes, biasing the choice favourably by 25%. So that's called an edge on your coin. Right. Let's have a look at the rest of these. What is brilliance? Brilliance is projected light. However, I don't necessarily need that because I've got freaky lizard eyes.
Yes, but that's higher levels in brilliance. That's where you can do unto others what you really can't take yourself.
Oh, shock bolt. Hello. Hello, shocking bolt. How are you? Okay, so that's level 6 for shock bolt 1. Now, let's have a look at something else. Now, this is the
voice
fun
attack still
bit.
Being weird, but I don't think it was. But it's not going through the channel, so you don't.
If you're running voice attack, no wonder your poor computer's crying.
Yes, but also some of the worst, Kate. Some of the worst as well. I just forgot to switch it off. It runs all the time.
Okay. Okay, so attack avoidance, oddly enough, is not causing attacks.
My computer's not crying, just my bandwidth.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Your computer's better than mine.
I suppose if you're a moron, there's a chance you get to be President of America. So that's...
Oi, fish! I would quite like this stream not to get demonetized on YouTube. Not that it's monetized.
What? At no point anywhere do I have on my stream that it is that they are non-political. I do not make that claim.
On the other hand, the Tango Toddler doesn't necessarily
talk about, but occasionally I might express an opinion now and then.
Yeah. No, it's fine. As far as I'm concerned, it's just that
spells, shall we?
He's a twerp. Right. Let's go. Okay, so gas manipulation I like because I like the condensation option. That kind of appeals to me. And that starts giving me access to things like Wall of Air, which, if you're a mentalist, that strikes me as quite a good defensive option. So that's a possibility.
Yes, indeed.
And it starts by basically making it foggy. Oh, ow.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the downsides of having a spell for every level rather than having the spells go up in big jumps is that you've got to have a lot more spells. So there's a lot of quite minor spells at the low level, which if you've got a lot of them, gives you a lot of versatility as to things you can do. But in another game, it might be done by having more versatile spells rather than more spells. Rolemaster goes with lots of possible spells.
I am tempted to take 2 levels of Mind Store.
I am going to...
You're going to AFK?
Leave Drut's capable hands for a moment while I take a
fire
break. Yep, I am indeed. I'm just going to slide that across in front of the camera for the moment.
Okay.
And I will be back in just a moment.
Right, so I am going to be taking 2 levels of Mind Store because I like the idea of randomly teleporting an inanimate object. I don't know how likely it's going to be useful, but I really don't care. I do have ideas. But if I mention them, then Fish is likely to never let me do them. I do like, by the way, once you've taken a spell, it puts it in bold instead of the weird grey. So teleports a single inanimate object to a point up to 100 feet away from its current location. There can be no intervening barriers in the direct line between the target and the point. Gates, however, for example, would not count as an obstacle to something that small. So there's an option. Right, so summoning and transportation. Okie dokie, that's ritual. Okay, never mind. Delving. What is delving? Item feel. Way hey. Caster receives a basic idea of an item's purpose, if any. Does that just make you really good at Antiques Roadshow? Detects magical power in an item.
It's primarily intended for magic items.
Yeah. Detects magical power in an item, but not the realm or
go back to your point about leaving, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, go back to your point about leaving. You could, for example, happily use leaving to get the key to your cell into your hand.
Oddly enough, that was exactly what I was thinking.
Now, if you're in a dungeon with a solid door, that's not going to work unless someone opens the little slider.
Yeah.
But when the slider's open, the key doesn't cross the space in between.
No.
So if somebody's talking to you through that sliding panel in a dungeon door, you could cast leaving then, provided it's a straight line. And they wouldn't necessarily know you'd done it. That would be a spell trickery roll.
Yes. Why are you looking over my shoulder?
Nicely subterfuged.
Okay. Let's go back to where I was.
I'm going to level up Stinius one more time. Get him up to level 6.
Okay, let's have a look at sense control.
Give him an empathy stat gain roll. And, all right, we'll try and get his presence up. He's on 93 out of 100. No,
okay,
no joy on that.
So, that could mess with people. Oh, I like that. Okay, seagulls can shut up.
Seagulls can, but they never do.
Yeah. Blur vision. Target has a -100 observation modification for obstruction modification for missile attacks and a -50 penalty for all other actions involving sight. And minor sense control causes minor false sensations in any one of smell, taste, or touch, e.g. an itch, a stinky smell, or a salty taste. No. Chat. Be good. Don't trust you lot. I know you lot too well. I love the idea of creating an illusory itch. That could just be so distracting.
Yeah, that couldn't it?
Okay, I'm going to have to take 2 ranks in it. I am. Sorry, was I not supposed to say that?
It wasn't a criticism; it was a comment.
Okay. So let's take 2 ranks in sense control. So that appeals. Mind. Oh, okay.
Oh, that sounds like you found something interesting.
Possibly. Hang on. So mind mastery costs me 2, or I can save the points, spend 1, and it's not mind mastery. It is mind store, whichever one it is. Mind store. What am I thinking of? Oh no, it's spell store I was looking at. Okay, no, I ignore me. Lost my ability to read. Spell store. Sorry, mind store even, which is as per feel 1, except caster stores mental pattern of target for later use with other spells. Yes. Well, that's potentially nasty. I mean, ideally, it's for sending to people.
To have first used mind store.
Yeah. Mind typing? I don't mind typing. As field 1, except caster learns race, profession, sex, age, and level of the target. It's ASL. Right.
Level, yeah.
And then you can do things like mind finding at higher levels. Caster gets direction and distance to any unshielded mind for which caster has a mind stored reference pattern. Oh. Well, that's nasty. Hello, what does transfer mind do? The caster can transfer a copy of any one mind-stored person to another caster from the mentalism realm. Okay. You can keep a library of people.
Yeah. So, yes, essentially you've already got a store of that person's mind so that you can affect them with spells at a later date. You can give a copy of that to your friend so they can do it as well.
Yeah.
So useful, for example, if you're working in a team, obviously.
Yep.
Particularly good where you've got a mentalist working with a magent. Magents are magical spies, essentially. They're spies, private eyes, all rolled into one, and they're a mentalist semi-spell user. So mentalists are better at this stuff, but can then transfer that mind store potentially to the magent for whatever they want to use it for.
Let's check mind tongue. Caster may mentally speak with any one thinking being. Caster must be able to see the target, or the target must know the exact location of or the caster must know the exact location of the target, or the caster must use focus mind to locate the target. In all cases, the target must also be within range. Well, that's not really an issue. I do wonder if you've mind stored somebody, would that count? One wonders.
No, a mind store is more a sort of a mental snapshot.
Okay.
I don't think that would really be sufficient for that.
Okay. So we will take that level of mind speech because I quite like the idea of doing that. Focus mind is the next mind tongue spell will be able to focus in on a particular person as its target. That person must be mind stored. So yeah, the level 4 spell does it.
That's where you start getting into things that need your mind store.
Yeah. You know what? Stuff it. Let's take that. I can stick them in a box. Mind merge. Mind attack. Okay, let's look at mind attack.
Taking level 4 detections unless I also take level 5. Determine emotion, I'm pretty certain I can do with my base attack, my base spell lists. But detect invisible, that could be useful.
Huh. Agony. Target takes 25% of current concussion hits. And shock A. Target takes an A electricity critical strike. Oh, doing that.
Yeah. One of the joys of the way the combat system works in Rolemaster is that there are spells which will jump straight to a critical hit.
Yep.
They don't do a traditional attack roll and concussion hit damage. They jump straight to doing a critical hit, which might be just a mild buzz on an A shock critical. But if you roll well, you could actually kill someone.
Okay, that's fine. Warm air, thick fog. Okay, I could do that.
Right, yeah, so A criticals for electricity run from foe's hair stands on edge as it takes a charge, +1 concussion hit, up to arc the base of neck, then straight down spine, leaves foe permanently paralyzed from the neck down. Which is target is dying or defeated, and -50 penalty to anything they try to do. That's on a roll of 100 on your critical.
Awesome.
I think that may be the only A electricity crit that is an immediate foe is defeated. Yeah, everything lower than that. Yeah, they can potentially finish someone off, but they don't just have it as an automatic. That's now happened.
Caster may increase the temperature of any inanimate body of liquid by up to 1 cubic foot per level by 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 28 C per round of concentration. Once the liquid begins to boil, it will not continue to heat up, but will begin to cool naturally if they stop. Caster is immune to the heat thus generated. Okay, I like that. That's potentially useful. That's one way to make sure you've killed off any horrible little nasties in your water supply, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just take the first one, which is boil liquid.
So if I want to add...
Leaping allows caster to make one leap up to 50 feet laterally or 20 feet vertically as a separate 1 AP action, with no pace penalty for the leaping movement in the round that the spell was cast. Spell may be cast when the caster begins to fall, taking effect immediately, allowing the caster to land safely from a fall of about 20 feet per level, plus whatever bonus my Sword of Wings give me.
Oh yes, your Sword of Wings give you have
Sword of Wings.
They're not Sword of Wings; they're wings. They're just desperately functional.
They're vestigial wings, yes.
They're vestigial wings, yes.
Ooh. We're going to have to take that. No, I just want all these spells. It's not fair.
Yeah, there's your low level. These are things that you will need to work towards. You can't have everything straight away.
I must have everything. Okay, self-healing. I should have taken that before. I didn't. I'm going to now. Definitely having levels of self-healing.
Self-healing is extremely useful, yeah. Funnily enough, I've given your father that as well.
Let's look at telekinesis.
So I've now leveled Stinius up to level 6. So he is, I think, finished. Okay. He's far enough above you to justify the fact that he is your father, and therefore I don't need to be thinking, why are you better than your dad?
Yeah.
So as an NPC, fully created player character-wise NPC, he is now
okay. Overlay 1. The caster can alter the visual appearance of an item, being, or place as perceived in the mind of one target for the duration of the spell. Why didn't I take that at first level? The other characteristic of this item, being, or place do not change. The nature of the item, place, or being does not change either. A book remains a book, a bridge remains a bridge. Okay.
Which spell is this?
Useful. Seeming. It's actually overlay 1, level 1 seeming.
Overlay 1 from Seemings, yes. Alter the visual appearance of an item being. And you did, if I remember rightly, take illusion crafting as a skill, didn't you? To give you a bonus
I did,
on
and I had
the verisimilitude of whatever you create.
Yeah, I'd actually completely forgotten, otherwise I would have taken that at level 1. Unfortunately, I can't undo a level, so I'm kind of stuffed there.
That's a good point. I will now be saving Stinius to the server at his current level.
Actually, Fish, could I withdraw? Could I change that, because I had completely forgotten that I'd given him the illusion crafting talent.
What?
If I use edit, I'm just thinking if I use edit on another skill, probably body development.
I haven't looked at that, whether that edits the skill or whether it edits the skill sort of description. Whether it
lets you edits the level as well.
But let's pick one and find out. Doesn't really matter what I do I?
No.
Yeah, you can indeed change the manually change the number of ranks. There, so you can remove it. You can derive an attack from it.
Where the hell did illusion crafting come? Was that a skill?
Update options
that I took.
Apply changes.
Oh no.
Illusion crafting is under composition. It is a composition skill which costs you 3 or 4 points for first and second rank per level. And you took some of that way back at the beginning.
I did. Okay, I am going to edit that for my level 1, because I would have done that if I'd remembered. So I am going to reduce my ranks in body development by 1.
Let's see if I do that.
Which gives me 8 points to spend. Because that was the second rank I got last turn. Oh, no, I didn't do that. I didn't actually complete it.
I suspect all I've done there is just duplicate that.
Okay. Right, so yeah, I've got 8 points to spend from level 1. So I am not going to piss about with things I've taken at this level, obviously. And we are going to... composition, where the hell are you? I've just found it.
There.
It's gone straight past it. Where the devil is it?
It's underneath combat training on arms. Or underneath combat training anyway.
Yes, okay. Illusion crafting, okay, yes. So 1 monk of that would be 3.
Yeah, I'm hoping, right, that there will be more streams that you'll be able to see, because now that I've rejigged things a little bit and started streaming regularly again, I'm actually streaming during the daytime.
Yeah,
rather than just in the middle of the night. Although, of course, with your shift work, you can catch ones in the middle of the night occasionally.
5 points left.
But I stream somewhere on a Monday afternoon. I do a mapping stream these days, and I don't know how frequently this is going to be played, but we're going to be streaming Rolemaster with Drat and I. Yeah. Probably work up a better layout for it, because at the moment this is just hastily added Drat to my existing stream layout. for this session 0.
Yeah.
I was hoping that we might get a fight in today.
Yeah, hang on, sorry.
Not an in-game fight, but a testing how it works fight. But it's quite an involved character creation system.
I've got 5.
There are choices to be made. So
that's 2 from level 1.
I'm the opposite.
Get me 3.
I've now dropped to only 3 days a week, which is great. It means I get me Mondays and Tuesdays off. I don't have to go to work tonight, which is a good job because otherwise I'd already be late.
I have 2 points left to spend from level 1 now. And then I can get on with spending the rest of this levels. So let's go with
Stimulus is that?
2 points left. So I haven't taken any of that.
That's the long stimulus.
Which one's that? Oh yeah. There's that.
Figure out how to remove this now. Remove or replace. Load from server. I want Stinius level 6. There we go.
Why did I not take?
So let's, as an experiment, see what happens if we quick cast a spell.
Oh, okay. Right, okay.
Okay, so what if Stinius wants to get an honest answer out of his kid and is casting the honest answer spell on the pre-adolescent Stivas? Let's see what happens there.
Good luck with it.
So, accept. Did that do anything? I'm going to work out how this software works, and that apparently, well, it cast the spell because he's lost power points. I can see that.
Right.
But it didn't make a roll for it, so obviously I did something wrong there.
Edit that.
So let's have another go, but this time we won't use quick casting. We will just cast a spell. There's the die roll there.
And 1 more point.
Now, was that actually missing on the quick cast, or did I just not notice it? Yeah, that's no die roll on there. So that's obviously, I had assumed that would be quick casting as in casting without preparation, but maybe it is just habit work rather than go through the mechanics. So this version
actually goes to 2.
Lets me actually roll to cast a spell. So I can pick a spell. I can say honest answer again. I'll cast it on Stivas. Using no hands and silence because that doesn't matter for a mentalism caster. No preparation rounds because we're just casting it straight off. Let's roll the die. 70 plus 18. The spell succeeds. We'll call him an unwilling target. So that gives us, interesting, it gives us the resistance roll modifier.
Be aware you can overspend on your skill ranks.
Yes, you can. It tells you you've got minus whatever left if you do that, but it is possible, yes.
Yeah, it lets you go over how many skill ranks you can actually buy.
Oh, does it? I've never tried, so I haven't realised that.
I misclicked.
Okay.
Just now, and I did 3 instead of 2.
I suppose that's useful in as much as there may be circumstances where you want to tweak the rules, bend the rules in the game, and if the software doesn't let you bend the rules, then I wouldn't want to use anything that restricts me to rules as written. Rules as written, I don't like anyway. I never use raw for anything.
I know.
If only because I don't believe that role-playing games have rules. I think they have mechanical systems and they have guidelines for play, but what they don't have is rules, because at the end of the day, it's down to the players as a group how they want to play their game.
Damn it, Fish, you've just driven something completely out of my skull by talking. Thanks. Oh, damn it. What the hell was I going to do? Oh, sod it. Okay. Under that? No. Oh, this is going to annoy me now. PowerPoint development, that's what I was doing. Oh, already took it. Okay, fine. What's power projection?
Okay, power projection. This is one I want to be sure I get right, so I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
I think I know what it does, but it's one of those skills that doesn't necessarily feature in other games.
Okay.
And I don't want to be wrong.
No, that's reasonable.
Right, power projection, a form of magical dueling. Power projection is used between two opponents. Its use creates a visible construct of magical energy between the opponents, e.g. a ball of power or strand of light connecting the two, that is held up until one of the participants fails. The opponents, who must be within 30 feet of each other, enter into combat rounds and must immediately begin rolling initiative each round. Each participant on their initiative must expend 1 power point each round and make a routine absolute maneuver using this skill each round. Neither may perform any other action other than conversation and casual perception while engaged in a power projection duel.
Okay.
Starting with the second round, the maneuver is subject to a cumulative -20 each round it's held active. If one of the participants cannot, running out of power points, or will not, unwilling, contribute any additional PP, moves out of 30 feet, or is stunned, treat that as a failure. As soon as one participant loses control of the projection by any of the criteria above or from failing a check, the penalties of failure have been resolved. Treat the contest as completed. The other participant in the power projection duel has won and is untouched and unharmed by the effect of the loser's failure without needing to make any additional rolls. So the results of failure an absolute failure on the roll. Your reach has exceeded your grasp. Treat as a failure and additionally roll on the spell failure table force column.
Ouch.
Add the number of hits taken. Failure, you've lost this projection, which bruises your body as well as your ego. Take hits equal to both sides' PP total in the projection. Ouch. So the longer it goes on, the more PPs it builds up. And whoever loses is going to take that as concussion hits at the end of it. So it is actually a genuine duel. There is some purpose to it.
Okay, well, I have zeroed out my development points, so I have taken the level up to level 2. So I've done. I am now level 2.
Okay.
If that's where you want me, that's where I am.
That seems reasonable. So save that to the server.
Okay. Nearly said load from server, which would just have me crying quietly in a corner.
So here we go. Stivas. I've got Stivas at level 0, level 1, level 2 showing it. So
just remember, if they ask, are you sure you want to do that? Just say yeah and roll another character.
Are you sure you want to pet the Shoggoth?
Yeah.
Yeah. God. Bless you, eh?
That one has stayed with me. And that one has actually formed the basis of a small lecture on common sense with characters. As in, why they don't have any.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the climax.
Stream,
it had gone so well. They had won. Well, they'd survived.
We'd won.
Most of them had... No, everyone had survived.
That counts as winning in Call of Cthulhu.
They survived, and they were only marginally injured, and only a couple of them had been electrocuted. And Ray and another character were in a network of tunnels, having found a summoning circle with a baby Shoggoth held in stasis inside an Elder Sign. Everyone had won. It was like, oh, right, okay, we found this. Probably better bring down the tunnels on top of it. Now we're leaving. Ray decided he wanted a souvenir and picked it up. The last anyone saw of him, have you seen The Thing, 1950s version? It was glomming up his arm, while the other person in the room, quite wisely, went ahead with the bringing down the tunnels option and legged it. I believe that was Andrea. Made a very solid decision there. And everybody then decided to leave town and pretend they never saw it. I like Call of Cthulhu, it's quite fun.
I've just set up the most trad of trad fights.
Oh my god.
You can't see the monsters on stream because they're behind Drut and I, but I just put a group of 4 rats into a fight.
Am I killing rats?
Now I have no idea how this works for running fights.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry, Gavin, you've got me playing. I'm playing a Soligear. Surely this means I get to do the oh god, the V thing.
What, the dislocated jaw falling down a hamster or a guinea pig or whatever it was.
I was thinking rat, to be fair.
Or rat in this case. Yes.
Lunch.
Haven't watched V in ages.
No, I haven't.
Excellent series.
I went to watch one.
The original, not the remake.
Yeah, I went to watch one on on Netflix or Prime, whichever of the streaming services it was on. Unfortunately, it was the remake, and I sat through 10 minutes of it, and I went, nope.
No, not quite the same.
It was not. Everyone was vamping. It was very strange. Okay, so Fish, what am I doing?
Okay, so are you still on your character at the moment?
I am.
The character sheet thing. Right. So if you click on the Era logo to take you back to the menu.
Okay.
You should have
gaming table.
An option to do. No, you want the. Has it got a join adventure or go adventuring?
Adventuring. Like apparently, there's a hiking or I'm digging a grave. I'm not sure which. Either way, I've got the backpack on.
Okay.
Well, the gaming table. Apparently, you got to summon something.
The gaming table, which is I think still in beta, that's actually sort of tying in to online voice chat and virtual presence rather than we're already doing that from stream together. We don't want.
No, it's all right. It's just that you've got the gaming table there, which is basically a round table with 4 little bod type people around it. Unfortunately, it does look like you are going to summon something.
Yeah,
let's
possibly.
all summon demons.
Yes. Everybody hold hands and close your eyes.
Wading the webs, apparently.
Yes, forget that. I haven't changed the adventure, the sample adventure name that it's got.
Okay.
So you should find, assuming that it looks much the same to you as it does to me, you should have on the left-hand side, I think you should have the party consisting of Stinius and Stavas.
Yep.
And I don't know whether you've also got
the
monsters on the opposite corner.
Nope.
On the right-hand side. Do you have the rats there? Okay.
Nope. I can see no rats.
Do you have a toggle combat button?
I don't know. What does that look like? Is
there
combat?
A picture of a sword?
I do.
Basically.
Ah, now we've got rats. Hello.
Now we've got the rats, right? So now we are in combat.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And I genuinely have no idea how this works. The first time I've looked at this,
I don't know, but in order to cancel combat, I apparently have to be the king of all England.
Yes, you do indeed. Apparently, you put the sword in the stone, or possibly draw the sword from the stone. I'm not sure which that represents. To toggle combat back off. And the one above it is start new round. So let's start a new round.
Which I assume is
so this gives us the option to declare actions. This is basically initiative rolls at this point.
Okay.
I'm just going to hit roll for everyone.
Do I have to start a new round
the stock initiative roll, shall we?
Do I have to start a new round for me, or is that you starting a new round for everybody?
Not. Hopefully, as the GM, I can do that. I'm going to hit that and accept it. And now I think. Now, do you have now an initiative order showing underneath the toggle?
I have nothing.
I do at my end. And
I do now.
I hoped that shared that for you.
But I have declare actions and roll for everybody and accept. And then a list of people. And something that looks remarkably like wallpaper.
Okay.
It's the purple dice.
So let's just try accepting that for the moment. And see whether it gives you the same.
Okay.
That I've got here.
4, 4, 4, 4, 3. So Stavas, Rat 3, Rat 2, Rat 4, Stinius.
Right, now that's a different initiative order to the one that I've got. So at the moment, we're both using this software, but we're not having the same fight. That's interesting to note, I feel.
Well, I don't wish to worry you. Shall I toggle combat off and start again?
My gaming table. I tell you what, I'm just going to turn this fight off for the moment.
Okay.
And I'm going to try going to the gaming table and see what that gives us. So that's. No, I definitely don't want the gaming table because I'm the GM. Because that's got choose your character.
Oh, GM roles are hidden from players. Okay.
I wonder if I should be on the adventure and you should be on the game table.
Ooh, GM roles are visible to players. Okay, yeah, I should not be here in the adventure because this is not it.
Yeah. So I'll go back to adventuring. Try going to the gaming table. Go back to the
menu.
The main menu.
Table.
Worst case scenario, you can just press back because this is all just HTML pages.
Yeah, I know. Ooh, it's green. I'm playing Stavas. Choose your character. Oh, hello. Oh, that's interesting.
So you should now have something that is pretending to be a table.
Yeah, I'm half expecting it to suddenly go into 3D and be dungeon, the random dungeon generator.
I'm going to take advantage of the fact that this is web pages, and I'm going to go to the gaming table and choose Stinius. So I've got the gaming table open as well as the adventuring page.
Show off.
And I've got them on different tabs. So this means I can see the player's eye view, so to speak, as well.
Okay.
So straight away we've got some dice up there. And we've got some dice down there. I think the green dice up at the top there, the ones that the viewers can't see, I think are the most recent die roll, possibly.
Oh, that's creepy.
No, that would be. I get it. Those are next to a little round circle with the word Stavas in it. So I'm guessing you've got Stinius up in that corner, and that those dice have just rolled. Yeah,
they have. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I roll my dice, you see it there. That's showing the roll for. So there'll be one of those for each character involved in the party, and you will see their die rolls as they come up there. So that's kind of cute. And that was just purely rolling the dice when I did that. That wasn't for anything. I wasn't doing a skill or anything. And it's got a little hide rolls button underneath, which I'm assuming if I hit the checkbox for hide rolls and then do that, you now can't see what I rolled.
Oh, no, you rolled exclamation question mark. So apparently you're swearing at me.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, if I tick hide rolls, it doesn't show the result.
Your roll
Interestingly,
becomes an interrobang.
It doesn't show the result to me either.
Oh, okay.
So that's interesting. I don't know whether.
Well, you're not the GM then.
I don't know whether
the
GM can still tell what that is. If I go to,
I'm willing to bet yes.
Can I see the rolls here in some way? I don't know how. If I can.
Okay.
Oh no! Yeah, I am. I'm seeing a list of the most recent rolls here because I'm not in combat mode at the moment.
All right. Okay.
Where the initiative was showing before, it's showing those rolls. So those last 2 rolls that I made hidden were in fact an 8 and an 83. And as the GM, I'm seeing those. I can see the last 5 rolls. It seems. Let me make another one and see whether it shows me more than that.
Ow! 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 I just scratched my face.
It does indeed. Ow. It just shows me the last however many rolls. That was silly, Drup.
Yes, it was. Ow! Oh gosh! Whoa, that hurts. Okay.
So now I am going to start this combat, and I am going to start a new round and roll an initiative for everybody and accept it, and then come and see what that has done to us over on the other side.
Not a lot.
Nothing really. I noticed some dice up on the top there that disappeared as I came in, so I couldn't really see what they were. But I've got a combat tab. Oh, that's for doing a combat action.
Right.
Gotcha. So I can make an attack with... On the left-hand side, you've got some little buttons.
I know, I'm playing with them.
The combat button there brings up your available combat actions.
So it's the skills that are the most important thing.
Claw roll.
Yes, skills, if I want to actually do an attack.
One of your skills.
Yes.
So you can roll those skills.
Like my spells.
So let's just play with that for a moment and see how this works. Let's assume that we're going to need a perception skill, shall we? Or a sight perception skill to see whether we can see the rats coming. So let's make a roll on that and see what happens. So if I just click that button, it makes a roll with no modifiers at the default difficulty. What it doesn't do is tell me a result in any way.
So I got 81. I rolled 81.
Perception. So, yeah, when you roll with a skill, for example, it still just shows me the dice on the adventuring page. But if I mouse over it, it tells me what skill it was and what the total result was.
Oh, okay.
So Stinius rolled 86, which is a total of plus 133. And Stivas rolled 81 for a total of plus 111. So that gives me your result, and I can see what you did.
Right.
There's no real automation on it here. It's just there's no real automation on it here. It's just giving me the result, so that I can then just treat that like I would any other roll.
I don't get that result. I'll have to actually do the maths on my own.
Yeah, you need to do the maths on your own. Apparently, you're not entitled to know what you rolled.
No. Fair enough.
So I'm going to pick a skill with easier maths and roll it so that I can confirm that the way I'm reading that is correct. I'm going to go with illusion crafting because that's only at -6 because Stinius doesn't have that. So I'm going to roll illusion crafting. So 76 -6 should be 70.
Okay.
That's an easy one. The dice gave me an easy result. So if I go back to the other tab, I should see, it should tell me that that's a result of 70. Yep, illusion crafting plus 70, Stinius rolled 76.
Okay.
So yeah, that does do exactly what I think it does. It presents the final total to the GM, but doesn't present it to the player.
Okay.
I don't know why the player's not allowed to know what they rolled without doing maths for themselves. I would have thought it would be nice to tell the player as well, but I suppose I can tell you. In fact, you can find out.
Okay.
The bottom one of those buttons is rolls, and that shows the roll history.
And
that includes the totals. So if you click on rolls, you can see Stinius rolled 76 for illusion crafting medium with total plus 70. So the next thing is to work out how do we do this if it's not an average roll? What does the ellipse menu give us? Oh, that's nice. So if we click the ellipse button, it brings up the complete skill description from the rulebook.
Oh, okay.
So we get a complete description of what the skill is. That is nice to see. Okay, see you later, Ray.
Okay, so what are we doing?
It tells us what our skill bonus is. It gives us a drop down for the difficulty. rolling from casual plus 70 through to 9 possible minus 100.
Mm-hmm.
Gives us a space for an other modifier. And then has a roll button to actually roll it. So if we click the ellipse, we get a custom roll. If it's just a straight roll at standard difficulty, we can just click the little die. If we want a roll with custom modifiers, then we can do that by clicking the ellipse.
I see what you mean.
That makes skill rolls nice and simple using
it does. It really does. Okay, so question.
It's still very much narrative gaming or theatre of the mind, depending on how you want to phrase it. Gaming. Look at that! I said theatre of the mind without putting on the poncy voice that I normally do when I say
know.
that.
I have an ad break coming up in 1 minute 38 seconds, so you can either whiffle for 4 minutes,
okay,
or we get going now. Just saying.
Right.
Can we at least get initiative done? Because I'm starting to fade here.
Well, I have rolled initiative. I've got an initiative order.
I'm happy for you.
In front of me.
I have no idea what it is.
That is, first off, that is giving me up Stivas as being first in the initiative.
Okay.
So, when I click on Stivas here in Adventuring, it gives me the options for what he can do. So it seems like this is designed to let the GM actually be handling this, rather than like a traditional VTT where you control your character. It is more like a standard game where you tell me what you want to be doing.
Yeah. It would be really nice if I could see the enemies, at least a list of enemies.
Yeah,
because I've just got the blank screen. Otherwise,
I may need to check up a video for this. And, a tutorial video to see how this is supposed to work.
Okay.
Because it's.
What's in my eye?
Because we really don't know at the moment how this actually functions.
No, I haven't a clue. I've not got a Scooby. If I want to make a combat roll, however. Assume that there are rats here because you have told me there are.
So yeah, I have told you. So there are 4 rats. You are trying to clear out the barn, let's say, back in Oxbend, before your adventures actually begin, and you're aware that there are rats eating the grain stores. So you've gone in to try and deal with the rats in the grain store. You and your father.
Yeah.
Just trying to drum up a little goodwill among the villagers, and you have the first initiative, so you can see there are 4 rats here. So you have got 4 action points, as I recall. You jump to the combat. Probably doesn't help that we're learning the game system and the software at the same time.
I think I may have 3 because I've got 3 in brackets ahead of my. Unless that's how many action points it takes.
That may be the numbers in square brackets there. I think are how many action points it takes to use that.
Okay.
That attack. For example, a melee attack is 2 to 4 action points.
Right. Yep.
Which seems, and a ranged attack is 1 to 3 action points. So that ties up with those numbers.
Okay.
So actions include any activity the character performs, including movement, spellcasting, melee, or retrieving items from a backpack. Table 8.1 gives us some action costs. So, for example, it says, this is much the same numbers that I'm seeing on screen here.
Yeah.
Melee 2 to 4. Why is that? What is the difference between making melee with 2 points and making a melee with 4 points? I wonder. I think I'm going to need the section on attacks for this.
Okay.
Probably should have read this through in advance, shouldn't I? Melee actions. Okay.
Oh, my
melee action represents.
Okay, so if I wanted to make a claw attack, for example, I would do that.
Okay, so melee actions doesn't tell me. Probably under attacks that I get to find out what the difference is.
Directed spell.
So that wants to tell me that about fumbling. It wants to tell me about an absolute hit. If the combat's total attack roll is over 175, then he gets a bonus. Oh, that's nice. So that's how they're handling exceptionally high rolls in this. Is if you get over 175, that's the maximum result on the table.
Right.
But for every 5 points that you exceed 175, you get +1 on your critical roll. So a really good roll is going to get a better critical.
Okay.
I'm still looking, however, for actually making an attack.
Okay, so
Right,
hypothetically...
offensive bonus. Got you. Where you have a range, such as 1 to 3 for ranged attacks and 2 to 4 for melee attacks, for each action point less than the maximum you use, you suffer a penalty to hit. So you can make a quick attack with only 2 action points at -50 to hit, a slightly less quick attack with 3 action points at -25 to hit, or you can use all 4 of your action points just to attack at no penalty. Seems to be the way that is going to work.
Okay.
If you use less than the maximum action points for your attack...
I mean, I don't have a
moving while
Scooby how I
attacking, they
change that.
suffer a pace penalty. Penalties due to fatigue. That's something that I think that I would probably have to get involved in, but let's...
Okay, that's nothing I can
find
change.
out. So...
I was thinking I would like to do a directed spell.
This all seems a little bit unnecessary to me. This seems to be very much declaration of action, of intent, which, declaration of intent can be a very important mechanic sometimes in combat, but often we don't bother with it. Often we skip it and we just say, it's your initiative, what are you going to do? It's less realistic, but it's how, if we're honest, most tables actually play. So I'm just going to add here that, so we've got a move of 1/4 of base movement rate and an attack for 2 to 4 APs. So that logically, if I hit move calc, that lets me calculate what my moves are at the different rates and accept that. That hasn't actually done anything except log what Stivas is actually doing on their initiative. So
I hope you mean Stinius, because Stivas isn't doing anything yet.
Yeah, sorry. It's Stivas is first in the initiative order, so I was just trying to figure out how it works, and I was using Stivas because they're first in the initiative order to try and figure it out, essentially.
Okay, so if I say roll directed spell with no details.
Yeah, there's only a roll button, isn't there? Yeah. So I would say, for the moment, let's ignore what I've set up as your declared action and just see what happens when you roll when you click one of these to roll it.
You rolled an 87.
So he did indeed. 87 using directed spells for a total of 131, but it didn't do anything significantly. There is a combat plugin for this that I suspect I might actually need to pick up if I want to do anything more than just have this let you roll the dice.
Okay.
By the sounds of it. What happens if I? Yeah, again, if I click on that on the combat actions, all it gives me is my roll and my total, but it doesn't actually determine the combat in any way, shape, or form.
Was there an explosion
Let's see what
at
I can
your
do
end?
over on adventuring.
Or was that something you clicked?
Yeah, there was a loud bang outside.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Maybe reform are being weird on the beaches. Could be. That's what it sounded like, wasn't it, Kate?
There we go. Right. Okay. I can now click on your roll on the adventuring tab. Right. I can click on your roll.
Okay.
And I can select a target for it.
Oh, okay.
And that then brings me up an attack box.
Wish I could.
Yeah. So we've got 100% of directed spells plus 44 offensive bonus. Attack size. So yeah, this is not obvious as to how this works.
Okay.
But this is now giving me the a box for the opposed roll.
Okay.
I think this is something I'm going to have to look into off stream. I was hoping we could just do a quick see how it goes on stream.
I'll tell you what, Fish. Do you want to? Can you remove my action? Because I'm just thinking, if I roll a claw attack, that should just be a thump.
Well, I rolled a claw attack for Stinius, so let me just take a look at Stinius's action. So it gives me exactly the same box. The difference is that now, obviously, it is showing this as being claw. It's showing it as a melee attack, and I'm hoping that it will actually connect to the correct things. I'm not going to apply any offensive bonus here. I am just going to accept this roll, which is target. No, this is target missed. I'm not going to accept that roll. I'm going to re-roll it. There we go. We've got a roll with 7 hits. Let's see if we can get a roll with. There we go. So after making 4 attempts at making this attack, I finally got 8 and a D/critical.
Okay.
So now I can roll location, which will determine my critical.
Yep.
So
which
that's
is question
54
mark,
is giving me an arm.
Okay.
That's giving me and that interestingly, I can change that. That's a drop down, but it's defaulting to arm because that's what a 54 would be. And I can click the. No, that's how it calculated the result. Which is a roll of.
Oh, okay. That. Lady Kate, thank you very much for swinging by. Much appreciated.
Bye. Sorry that this is such a befuddling and befuddled stream, but there you go. Still trying to work with.
I'm tempted, actually, just for the benefit of the stream, to go back and turn on I can see your rolls.
Right, so when I accept the result, it does actually then give me a proper result thing. So it tells me that this is a cut to foe's upper arm, which is impressive, plus 21 hits, 5 bleeding. That is impressive. FTG, is that really fatigue? Let me look at the. Yeah. I'm going to look at the same result on the in the book.
Yeah, you know what?
So that I'm reading it in both places. So that was a 54, I believe. Yep, 54. So plus 21 hits, 5 bleeding. So that arrow there means. So yeah, FTG is indeed a fatigue penalty. I thought so. Minus 10 fatigue penalty, and a breakage roll.
Charles of breaking its alarm.
Yeah. Now I'm going to look up what that means by breakage roll, because now to me, my instinct is to say that a breakage roll is weapon breakage, but I don't see why getting a good critical would break your weapon.
No. I assumed it was breaking them.
So, breakage roll at minus X. Yes. So, explain to me, please, what that breakage roll is all about. I mean, that could be perhaps. No. I'm just thinking maybe if you parry, there's a minus 25 to the breaking roll against that critical. But if you've parried, then you're not getting that critical. It's coming up slightly differently. The big problem with this is it's almost but not quite how the system worked in earlier versions. So the game system I know how to use looks a lot like this, but isn't quite the same. And as a result, my brain keeps providing me the answers from classic or standard system. Some criticals will trigger a breakage roll in a location hit, sometimes at a penalty. This could be armor, shield, or an item carried. So if your rat was wearing armor in this instance, or if Stinius' rat was wearing armor in this instance, that would be a minus 25 to a roll. Would trigger a breakage roll for the armor of that location with a minus 25 penalty because the strong strike potentially. I quite like that, actually. That's a nice aspect I don't think was in criticals in earlier editions. The idea that your critical strike could break your opponent's armor or some other item in that location. I mean, in this case, this is an arm blow. Maybe if your opponent isn't wearing armor, maybe your opponent has a decorative gold torque. And your strike, in addition to doing damage to the arm, has a chance of breaking that.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. If the GM determines there are multiple options for breakage, randomly roll to determine which requires a roll. If the critical indicates an item is dropped, it must make an immediate breakage roll. In addition to determining if the item has been damaged or broken, the one's die of the breakage roll is how far away the item has landed. Okay. And the fatigue penalty is just a minus 10 to your future attacks. They're effective immediately and can be lowered by normal means, e.g. rest, absolute success on an endurance roll, spells, etc. So again, the critical results will gradually wear out your opponent as well as damaging them by imposing these fatigue penalties.
Yeah.
So this rat's now at minus 10 for its fatigue penalty. It doesn't have an item that could be broken, so it's ignoring that, but it's taking 21 hits and is bleeding at 5 hits per round.
Excellent.
The numbers down there are some boxes down the bottom here which do not currently reflect that result. Those haven't been fed in. I don't know what this means. I need to feed in 5 bleeding, 10 fatigue, because that would be really annoying. I would really rather it just took it straight from that description from the box above. 21 hits, but let's do that. Let's put those numbers in the boxes at the bottom and hope there's not additional values. Accept that. And rat 1 is dead as a dead thing. Let's look at its status. It's on minus 24 out of its 5 hits.
Let's see what it could have won. Oh, wait, no.
Yeah. So, yeah, that killed a rat without any trouble whatsoever. Is it... Looking at the status effects, it's got a /D there, minus 30 hit loss automatic, minus 10 fatigue automatic, bleeding 5 hits per round from /D. So that doesn't seem to have doubled up the bleeding. Something that I was worrying about was whether I was accidentally doubling up the bleeding.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I do have to fill the critical result in effectively by hand before applying it, and it then applies it to the creature. So the software will work quite nicely. Let's just have an attack against a rat.
Right.
By Stivas, and we won't worry about the software. We'll just use some dice and the stats for a rat.
Okay. Digging up my blood-splattered dice.
I can get all the necessary stats from that.
I'm going to use a claw on a rat.
Right. Are you doing any... Let's ignore parrying for the moment. Let's just do this at the simplest level.
Yeah.
And literally just say you go diving in and attack.
So plus 28.
To that. So your claw, is your claw considered medium or is your claw considered
believe it's considered medium, but please don't ask. I don't know. Ow!
I'm going to drop dice. I'm going to drop books on the floor, apparently.
That was interesting.
Sorry, Tim, in the flat below.
Sorry, my eardrums. That's made my ear pop. It echoed enough.
Right, so solar gear, claws, May attack with the claws using the claw specialization of combat training unarmed. Right, so it doesn't tell me either way, so in which case I'm just going to assume that they're medium like what how you are. If you're a medium creature, I'm assuming your claws are medium claws, so I'm on the medium table.
Okay.
So this rat has a total defensive bonus of 32. So you are rolling percentile, which is an open-ended roll.
Yep.
Adding your offensive bonus for your claws, which is your skill rank for your claws.
So 28.
Total skill bonus for your claws. 28.
Plus 28.
Subtracting 32.
Okay.
So effectively you're rolling a -4.
Yep.
To the die roll.
Dice
-4.
That's way less impressive than it was 4 seconds ago, Fish.
Rats are difficult to hit. They have a really good quickness bonus. You've kept rats. You know how hard the buggers are to grab.
Well, yeah, okay. So I got 90.
Yeah. So 90, is that before the -4?
That's before the -4. Sorry, no, my apologies. That is 86.
So that is an 86. 86 against armor type 1 is 9 hits and an A/critical.
Awesome.
Now I can tell you straight away, these are rats. It only has 5 hits. So this rat is unconscious whatever happens from this point onwards.
What do I roll
it's
for a
also,
crit?
However, taking an A/critical. So let's go to... You roll percentile.
Yeah.
And I look it up on the table for you.
Yeah, at the moment, Alia, that's where I am with this software. It's an excellent reference manual. But... Okay, that is a 97. And it is a day we roll high.
I just want to check whether the stream chat is still shared.
Oh, hang on. No, it isn't. It's not showing shared anymore. Hang on.
Yeah, I've just noticed
Did you drop
that
out?
Somewhere I apparently dropped out. And
Oopsie.
as a result, I think I need to re-enable stream chat.
Yes.
So let me just press the button, start sharing chat.
Yeah.
That will bring us chat back up. I don't know how long it was off.
Okay.
But it was gone for a wee while.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was trying to work out.
Two comments from earlier that didn't come through, but it wasn't for very long. I noticed it before it.
And you are very pixeled. You are very pixelated, so.
And we're back to being pixelated again.
Yeah.
What fun. Hopefully that will clean itself up in a moment.
Yes. So Ethernet cabling in your flat, something of a priority, possibly.
I mean, I suppose I am connected. I'm not actually connected to using Wi-Fi. I am connected by Wi-Fi as well.
Yeah.
But I'm actually using the home plugs.
Yeah. So new home plugs or just an Ethernet cable?
Oh, actually, I tell a lie. I'm not connected to the Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
It's just over the home plug.
Okay. Maybe
so
if you were, that
to the
might
Wi-Fi
be an
as
idea.
well, and maybe I'll get a better signal if it's using both options.
It should be, yes.
So, yes, percentile roll for your /critical.
Right now, at the moment, you look like an 8-bit video game. Not an 8-bit, sorry, an Amiga video game.
I'm sticking with what I said earlier on, that I look like a whistleblower. I should have a strangely digitized voice to hide my identity when I'm telling you about what somebody did that was terrible.
Yes.
Who I used to work with.
Yeah.
Or still work with, and I really need my identity to be concealed. So, open-ended percentile roll for a /.
That was a 97.
See how dead this rat is.
Does 97 roll over, yeah? It's 96 and above, isn't it?
Sorry, no, it's not open-ended. Attack rolls are open-ended. Critical rolls are not. They're a straight roll.
So just a 97 then.
There's just only a 97. Yeah.
A mere
Slash
97.
Into belly damages muscle. Foe's eyes go wide at near disembowelment. Plus 14 hits. That's on top of the 9 that you already delivered. So it's taken 25 of its 5 hits now. It's bleeding at 4 per round. So if it had any hits left, it wouldn't have them for very long.
I've cut this thing in half, haven't I?
It's got a -20 penalty. That's not a fatigue penalty. That is I've got my guts torn out penalty.
Oh dear.
So that's a penalty that would be there until healed. Not that this rat is going to live long enough to heal. And it is also taking a -75 stunned penalty.
I bet it's stunned. It's just had its guts ripped out by a large lizard.
Yeah, the way stunned is done in this edition, if I remember rightly, is that the duration, the stun drops by 25 per round.
Yeah.
So it's at -75 for one round, then -50 for the next round, then -25, and then it's unstunned. Or it would be if it weren't as dead as a rat that's just been chopped in half by a lizard.
Yummy. Sorry, that was a bad noise to make. I do apologize.
That's how an attack works. Just using the books and dice, not trying to use the software. That is how an attack works.
Can I make an attack spell at it? Well, not that rat, obviously a different rat.
Go through the process of using a spell attack, so that we can see how they work.
Would that be rolling directed
spell? What spell are you going to use?
I don't know. Hang on. Let me bring up my list of spells, which I already had up. Right, I was going to go
through the casting a spell process.
Yeah, I was going to go with Jolts 1.
Okay, so a spellcasting roll is required every time a spell is cast. The SCR is open-ended. It succeeds on a positive result, causes spell failure on a negative result. Yeah, that's poorly written. Basically, if you get a negative result, then there's a roll on the spell failure chart, and the spell doesn't work.
Okay. Do I have to roll directed spell first because this is a spell being used to hit somebody?
That's what I am now trying to...
I shall shut up then.
So, directed attack spells. Certain spells result in an aimed physical attack on a target. Most commonly, these involve elemental force, though telekinetic power can launch a physical missile for much the same result. Once the spell casting roll succeeds, the caster then makes an attack roll, applying the normal modifiers for ranged attacks, and adding the appropriate directed spells skill specialization bonus.
Right, gotcha.
So that sounds like directed spells should have been a specialization, which was not indicated when we took it.
No.
I may have to
play with that, yeah.
So the initial spellcasting roll then is a D100 open-ended plus your list ranks plus realm stat plus list type plus other modifier.
Plus 21.
So D100 plus the number of ranks. Maybe. We'll see. We'll work it out as per the book and see whether that comes out at plus 21.
But it says plus 21 in the spell list.
Number of ranks of the spell list
is 4.
How many ranks do you have in the spell list? 4. Okay. What is your presence bonus?
I don't know. Realm stat is plus 12. I assume that's it.
Okay. Yeah, that would be it. Now, see, I make that plus 16. I'm looking for
list type base.
What type of spell? It is a base list, yeah?
Yeah, list type base. So gives me plus 5.
No, we get plus 5 for a base. We get plus 5 for a base list.
I have the
So 21. Okay, so
yeah.
Sorry for not trusting the software, but I wanted to go run through the calculation myself.
It's given me a chance actually to show chat because I brought up the detail for custom roles. So I'm not taking any preparation rounds. My level versus prep is 0. List ranks is 4. Realm stat is plus 12. Doesn't actually say what stat it is, but it tells me how much it is. And because it's a base spell, a base list, I get plus 5. No other modifiers, total of 21. Required rolls 6+, apparently. Not sure about
you're
that.
Right. I'm just looking at the same thing on the software now on mine, so that my chat can see it, my stream sees it. Casting roll is modified by plus 4 due to list ranks, plus 12 due to realm stat, plus 5 due to list type, so 21.
I don't know what required rolls means, but we will get there.
So, roll what we haven't done is we haven't checked into preparation yet. I don't think it's going to be an issue for you.
No.
First off, is this spell an instantaneous spell? I wonder. I do not know off the top of my head. I don't think it is, because I'm not seeing anything indicating instantaneous on the
Hang on.
Spell parameters.
I will go to my list of skills, which is maneuvers apparently.
I've just noticed that the top of this box is labelled "Attack the Darkness." So okay, we approve. We kind of approve of that.
I like that.
So
is that
currently this is no, but I'm just going to see what happens if I click one preparation round. Right. So preparation rounds will give you a bonus on the spell.
Right. Okay.
Roll. So you're rolling an open-ended die and adding 21, which means you've got to roll -22 to fail this. Now, an open-ended roll, it could happen. If you roll 5 or less and then a high roll, you could have minus like 90 something.
Okay, let's see what I roll.
We'll see.
Currently rolling at +21. That is a 96.
Okay, so this is open-ended high, so roll again and add to the 96.
Okay.
I'm going to try an experiment. I wonder if I can actually make the machine do the maths for me.
Well, that's a 97.
97. Now I need to check whether open-ended rolls carry on going, because that varies from edition to edition.
Huh.
So let's look up open-ended rolls.
Yeah.
And see. Roll 96 to 100 dice roll again. If the second roll is 96 to 100, then a third roll is made. And so on until a non-96 to 100 roll.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
You've definitely cast this spell. What are you adding this time?
97. Hang on.
97 again.
I'm on my 4th roll now.
You're over 190 here. You're huge.
Right, only 47 on that last.
280.
Okay,
only 47 on that one.
Yeah, okay. So 96, 97, 97, 47.
So, yeah. Right. Well, I'm not going to do the maths on that. I'm just going to say your spell succeeds. But what I am going to do is I've put those numbers separated by pluses into the manual roll box on the software to see whether it will do that calculation for you, whether you have to add it up yourself.
Right.
Or whether you can just take that as being a thing. So it's showing success 100%.
Bloody hope so. Oh yeah. So yes, whatever that is, +21.
Yeah, +21. What this is showing me, I've got 96 plus 97 plus 97 plus 47 plus no special bonus +21, and the result is showing up as spell succeeds. I've no idea whether that's because it's actually added them together.
Okay.
But I'm now going to click the unwilling target box because this will be an unwilling target, and that then takes us on to the attack roll that you have to make.
Oh yeah.
Because your spell has succeeded.
My spell has succeeded and then some.
Now.
And then I get to make a directed spell check.
Slightly different system in this version to earlier versions of the game, where that roll would have produced ongoing modifiers, and that doesn't seem to be the case now.
Okay. That's a shame.
So, force spell in progress.
358, according to Alia.
I'm willing to accept that. That sounds
about right. Yeah.
My brain doesn't want to do that at the moment. So, why is that 117 bonus? Maybe that did make a difference.
Okay.
I don't know. No, this is the attack.
Oh.
Level 2 bonus 117.
It sounds like it does have an ongoing effect, yeah.
Actually, that sounds like it has taken your original roll.
Oh, right. Okay.
Without the open-ended stuff.
Oh.
Possibly.
I don't know.
Let me just have a quick think about this. Your initial roll was a 96, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
So 96 plus 21. 117.
Yeah.
So that is 96 plus your attack bonus.
Yeah.
So it's not taken. So the software did not take the pluses that I put in.
No.
It just took the number at the beginning and ignored everything after it.
So yeah, you'll have to add it up.
That's a shame. Yeah. It would have been nice if it did the maths for me that way.
Just out of curiosity,
but either way,
what happens if you did put the 358 in? Just asking the question.
Well, I mean, if I gave it a 358,
yeah.
I mean, that's just
laughable.
Kind of ridiculous. I haven't rolled the target yet. It's resistance. I don't know if it gets resistance against this, but I'll roll it one. Oh, it got a 98. Look at that. But that still fails by 263.
Okay, there's not many games you can say that about.
Adjustment from attack minus 258. Yeah, that's. But anyway, let's ignore that for the moment and go through what the book says we should be doing at this point. We have made our attack successfully.
Oh boy, have we.
We now make our directed spell attack. So, caster now makes an attack roll as described in Rolemaster Core Law Section 9.2, applying the normal modifiers for ranged attacks and adding the appropriate directed skill specialization spells skill specialization bonus. In other words, make a roll against your
directed spell.
Spells bonus. Please.
Yep, plus 44. Okay. Oh. Is 100 a 0 or 100?
That is 100 and is open-ended.
Oh. Sorry.
I shouldn't play this game with you, should I?
Well, it's not that. I'm going to enshrine these dice because I think these are making up for all the crappy rolls I've had over the last 6 months on VTTs. Right, okay, yeah, open-ended, second roll. Right, okay, there we go. A mere 55. So 155, 199 in total.
Okay, that's quite a lot.
Including my bonus. These 55 plus 44 is easy. I love these dice. My little blood splatter dice are lovely and I love them. And they are splattered with blood.
Just going to take a look at the spell list for a second and make sure that this is a directed spell, which I'm pretty sure it should be.
Yeah.
Which list is this off? This is mind attacks.
Yes. It's the level 1 in mind attack. I could have agonized at that.
I suppose you could, yes. So Jolt's one, force. I'm not sure what the M is off the top of my head.
Medium.
But it's definitely a force spell, so this is being
mentalism.
Medium. I don't know. That makes sense.
Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, medium, probably. Which is what we'll need for the rats.
So, okay. So that's going to be a Jolt. Target is stunned. So yeah, it is against a resistance roll. So yeah, your roll determines the difficulty of its resistance roll.
Okay.
Essentially. So it fails horribly and is stunned at minus 50. So this means that, as we said before, with the stun, it's got minus 50 to its actions for one round, then minus 25 for a second round.
Right. And that's all it does. It doesn't actually do any crits or anything. Okay.
No, the jolt spell just stuns a target. Very useful if, for example, you want to take someone alive.
Yes.
Because obviously it gives them a huge penalty for a couple of rounds.
Yeah.
And
they're tougher than you.
Makes it easier for somebody else to then capture them or
yeah.
Or very useful against a tough attacker who you want to be able to then hit with something regular. I mean, if you can hit it with jolts and then hesitation for good measure, it would take a -50 penalty and also has a -22 initiative and must parry with at least half OP.
I was thinking shock A could be interesting.
So once the spell is cast, the effect of the spell must be resolved. In many cases, the results are automatic. When the target is a living creature or unusual object, various results can occur. There's range from the spell failing to operate correctly to the spell being overwhelmingly successful. Resolution of spell casting depends on the type of spell being cast. Always requires an open-ended roll called the spell casting roll. For a directed spell, you make your attack. It's a bit weird because this is a directed attack spell, essentially.
Yeah.
Because it's a force spell.
It is.
But it's not attacking on an attack table. So somewhere it must tell me that what it does is apply a resistance roll modifier as per what has been done by the software, but I haven't yet found it in here. If the spell has not failed, the target of a resistible spell must make a resistance roll. Is this a resistible spell? I'm pretty sure it must be, but I don't know how I know that off the top of my head. Right, for resistance rolls versus magical attacks, the roll is compared to the caster's spellcasting roll. So, I'm honestly here, I am finding no indication at all that this should be a directed spell.
Oh, okay. I sort of assumed
it would be. Even though it is a force spell.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though it is a force spell. And is directed against a target.
Living creature, yeah.
But it's not a physical attack, is it? So I suppose it just comes under resistible spells instead of...
I don't know, actually.
Right, resistible spells. This is determined by having each target make a resistance roll. These spells are typically spelled to the force type, though informational spells generally allow for a resistance roll when they have a target. So yeah, it seems like directed attacks will usually be elemental types, but might be force if it's telekinesis.
Right.
Otherwise, force spells are resistance roll instead of directed spells. So it is in fact using your original
358. 358. I'm just saying that as much as possible.
Yeah. So your original roll of 358 then.
Sorry. Sorry, that deserved a hee.
Yeah, the roll is compared to the caster's spellcasting roll. If the resistance roll with all modifiers equals or exceeds the number required, the resistance roll succeeds. Otherwise, it fails. So it needed to roll 358 to resist the spell.
Right.
In fairness, it's doing quite well. It got a 98.
Yeah. What did it get in its next?
So, yeah.
Open-ended.
Resistance rolls. Yep, the resistance rolls are open-ended.
Yeah, it could do it.
So
it could succeed. It probably won't, but it could.
So I'm just trying to work out how to add in a second roll on this.
Oh, okay.
Because it doesn't look like it wants to let me. I can randomize again.
Because your dice are not present, Hiram. That's the problem. It's when your dice aren't there, that's when you have to use the digital dice.
Yes, and sometimes because you want the other players to be able to see the dice if you're using the
Yeah. Been done t-shirt, yeah. You have no dice and you must scream.
I genuinely don't know how I would actually apply this open-ended roll. Because it is an open-ended roll.
It is,
the software doesn't want to let me.
That's interesting.
I'm going to try something. I'm just going to put in a number not completely random, off the top of my head.
Okay.
Because I just want to confirm what I did before.
Right.
Yeah, so that doesn't change that adding an additional plus something doesn't change.
Doesn't. Right, okay.
I guess what I could do is I could put that 98 into the resistance roll mod and then roll again.
Okay.
Ah. No, it's cleverer than I thought it was. I take it back. I hit the little button to roll again, and it's given me another roll.
Okay.
And indicated maybe how I have to fill them in manually. Instead of plus, it's 98,3.
Oh.
I've now got as my result.
Okay.
So that seems to be how it does open-ended rolls.
Right. Okay.
You just keep going, separating the rolls by commas. So on the previous one, I could probably have done. I'm actually going to close that, and I'm going to go back, and I'm going to change that on the previous
and see what happens. Okay.
Screen, and see if it gives me my 358 or your 358.
Yeah.
Right. So this is an unwilling target. Yep. Bonus 358.
Ah, sorted.
And we know that it got a 98 and a 3, which is still not going to succeed. Fails by 260. 52 if counting something, but I can't see what it's supposed to be counting because the window isn't big enough and I can't scroll it.
Oops. Okay.
Oh, no. There we go. 52 if counting every 5, 26 if every 10. Right. So.
Okay.
Fails by 260. Anyway,
okay.
That is very much a failure.
Yeah.
So we accept that, and then if I look at, I think I targeted Rat 4 with that, and I look at his status, he should theoretically now have, active spells, Jolts 1, elapsed 0 of 1 round.
Yep.
That's not showing his 50 stun that Jolts is actually providing him.
Okay.
I can give him 1 round of Jolts at minus 50 stun. I can apply him 1 round of stun at minus 50, and then he is stunned for that time. So the software is going to be useful if I can learn how to use it.
Yeah.
The actual base system is going to take some time to get the hang of, if only because my brain keeps wanting to go to
the earlier editions. Yeah.
And run it.
That's understandable.
But it seems to make sense. Okay, I quite like the simplification of negative results being spell failure in this.
Yeah.
The old, I think they were high open-ended previously, and they failed on a natural roll of 1 or 2, irrespective of what modifiers you added to them. They still had spell failure on a roll of 1 or 2, I think.
Okay.
Now they've taken that out. All the numbers get factored in, but you've got the potential for low open-ended rolls, and you're only going to get a spell failure either on a low open-ended roll or if you've got some really big penalties.
Okay.
Such as, for example, if you were casting a spell 5 levels above your level.
Yeah.
At level 2, if you tried to cast a 7th level spell, you would have minus 100 to your roll. So even with the plus 21, you've still got a good chance of a spell failure.
Well, yeah.
You've got some chance of a spell failure even if you're casting 2 levels above, because you've got 21 minus 40.
Jesus.
So overcasting can be dangerous and result in spell failure. And also a roll of 5 or less potentially is going to be a spell failure because it's an open-ended roll rather than a high open-ended roll. So that works quite nicely.
Absolutely.
Under the circumstance, I think this has gone on quite long enough now.
I think it has.
We've got the characters fleshed out. We've explored the system a little bit. I am going to explore the software further off-stream in the hope that I will get the hang of it. If I can get the hang of it better before our first actual game session, which we will organize between us off-stream, then I will be using it for that. Otherwise, we will use it to track your character and make all of the die rolls using the books and we'll have a real dice, or even using the dice in the software, just not bothering to use the system for sorting them out. Because that got very...
Yeah. Because this deserves to be answered verbally as well as in text, being asked, didn't I also take a thing that makes overcasting even worse for Stavas? Yes, I did. Spell failure is much worse for me. If it goes pear-shaped, it really goes pear-shaped.
So how many tiers of that did you take?
I can't remember. Hang on. Not sure. Let me go back. I want to go back to my character sheet. No character is loaded. No, I know.
I'm just wondering, can you see your character sheet from the table?
Hang on, not from the table.
You can't see your character sheet from the table, can you?
No, you can see bits on the character sheet, but you can't actually see the character sheet.
However, because this is HTML based, what you can do, because I've tested this, is you can, instead of just clicking gaming table, you can right click and open it in a new tab. In which case you can have the character sheet open on one tab and the gaming table open on another, and that's
for future reference.
Much more useful.
Yeah, for future reference, that's what I'll do. Right, Inglorious Failure. I think he only took 1 tier of it.
Okay,
because
so
it's
I believe
-6 and it's -6 per tier. So yeah.
Yeah, so I believe what that does is it adds 5 to your spell failure roll.
It does. So 5 per tier.
It doesn't make it more likely. Doesn't make it more likely that you will fail.
No, it makes failures worse.
But it makes failures worse. Yeah. You also, however, do have the grace skill.
Yes.
And the grace skill reduces the penalty for overcasting.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be quite as bad as it might have been.
Yeah.
Your chance that reduces your chance of spell failure, but then your Inglorious Failure increases the severity. The result of that. Yeah, the severity is an open-ended D100 roll.
Oh boy.
Failure. Modify the roll as follows. Add up all the modifiers that apply to the spellcasting roll. Sum these results. Change the sign so the number is positive, or 0 if there was no overall negative modifier for the CR. Add this number to the rolled number.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay, so in other words, if you're overcasting 2 levels, that -40 becomes +40 to the spell failure roll.
Yeah, all right.
And then another 5 on top of that for your Inglorious Failure.
Oh, good.
And that can be, well, the minimum result that can then give you, unless you do a low open-ended, is caster loses spell and the normal number of power points. Be thankful it was no worse.
Ooh. Okay.
Then you get on to, this reminds me of the parable of the caster who lost his spell and the power points to cast it, because that's what happens. So basically the same result. Then spiritual power runs a little wild. Caster takes 1d4 hits and 3 rounds of stun.
Oh my god.
At 76 and above, you start actually taking
you zap yourself
penalties. And if you're foolish enough to roll 358 on it,
well,
1 plus, that's the top of the table.
Oh my god.
Caster turns to ash.
What?
Anyone not of his faith and within 20 feet of the sorry, I'm on the channeling spell failure chart. I forgot.
I was going to say
result. Yeah, caster demonstrates that spontaneous decapitation is not just a myth.
Hang on.
In other words, scanners.
Yeah. I need to watch Scanners again now. Great. Or possibly Scanner-Cop.
Yeah, again, on the mentalism version, again, you start taking actual hits off it at 76 and above on the roll. So
excellent.
If you're overcasting and getting like +20 or +40 to that roll, you've got a good chance of being able to get to there. And that does, at 76 and 90, error literally takes caster's breath away. Doing D10 hits. Sorry, not D. Why do I keep saying D10? Doing 10 hits.
Ow.
1 round stunned at -75, followed by 1 round stunned at -25. So it skips the -50 level. Just goes to -75 for a round, then -25, then okay. But you take 10.
That's something. Yay! I guess.
So spell failure can be unpleasant, but it's also not that likely to happen.
Yeah.
To be honest, because unless you're pulling something particularly unpleasant, particularly for mentalism. If you're trying to perform mentalism while wearing the helm from a suit of Gothic plate, that's going to go wrong. That's going to be an extra -75.
Oh dear.
But there are very few modifiers on mentalism compared to the other two. Realms. Nothing for hands, nothing for voice. Quite low modifiers for the type. There's a -5 for closed lists, and a -10 for other, which is, in other words, -10 if it's not even a mentalism spell list or if it's somebody else's base list. So, because you can potentially learn somebody else's base list.
Yes,
but
I know.
They have a -10 for casting to cast. And for subtlety on a force spell, that would have been -20 if you tried to cast it subtly. So if you subtly overcast a force spell,
your head explodes.
Then you start getting into the chance of your head exploding, or at least something bad happening to you.
Oh, that's one high blood pressure moment away from disaster. Okay.
So I think that's
it's a reasonable place to wind up
today.
Yeah.
We've been all over the place with this, not having a clue what we're doing on the software, and not knowing this edition of the system yet.
Two experienced gamers.
Experience for us.
Yay!
Yep, it's been a learning experience for us. I hope it's been a learning experience for you watching.
Yeah.
Drat and I will certainly be posting on our Discords as to when the first actual session of this is going to be. Because I'm going to run a solo scenario for Drat. I don't mind exposing Drat to my lack of knowledge of the system. Then when we know how to play it, I'll invite other people to play. But that will go out on stream, so that will actually be the first actual play on this channel.
Woo.
And I'll be looking at that point. I will be looking for players. And in the meantime, Drat, do you have anything? I mean, you obviously do, but what? Do you have coming up
Lordy Dicks! This week I might get to sleep at some point. So tomorrow at, I believe, around 5, I will be back with Chrono Magistrate in Project Zomboid.
Played that for the first time and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Played that last night, this morning, however you want to phrase it.
Yeah.
And I did play a little bit after you went to bed.
Oh, did you?
I played a solo game using the default settings on it. And I lasted 20 hours. That's 20 in-game hours, not 20 real hours, and killed 6 zombies before I got.
Well done. Well done.
There's a lot of zombies out there.
Aren't there, though? And they congregate in urban areas. It's when once you start getting
outside the house I'm in, usually.
Once you start getting mobbed, you carry on getting mobbed, and then the mobs attract other mobs.
Yeah.
And then more mobs come to see what all the noise was about, and then suddenly you're buried, and it's horrible.
I was doing quite well inside a house until I ran out of food and was hungry, and I had to leave the house, and then I didn't last much longer.
No.
So that was fun. If you haven't played Project Zomboid, check out the stream, because it's a fun game, and
it is.
Watching Chrono and Drut.
Yeah. So yes, so that's Wednesday. Then
because this is a co-stream, I'm not going to shout out Drut, but
I'm going to shout out Chrono.
Shout out Chrono Magistrate.
The other thing is on Thursday I will be playing the Thaumaturge.
There we go.
Yes. And if I can during the week, because it's tremendous fun, I would like to try and fit in a little more FBC Firebreak, possibly making use of the matchmaking servers, rather than solo. But
that game does seem very geared towards team play.
Oh, ye gods! It is not intended for solo play. If you turn the solo play down to easy, that's closer to what it's set for. It's still bloody challenging. But it is also tremendous fun, and I'm very much hoping that I can get to multiplayer with mates, as opposed to relying on the kindness of randos to not just go pure crap on you. Although they have today patched the matchmaking servers, so apparently you're more likely to find an equivalent random match, and it'll be more likely to be able to fill you out with a party of 3 instead of starting with a party of 2, which is handy. So that's me for the week.
Yeah, I'm going back to work tomorrow, so I will not be streaming again until Saturday, when I don't stream on my channel, but I do appear on the Mythos Classic Fantasy game taking place. I believe I can give Inwalls a shout out at the moment.
You can.
There's a timeout thing. I don't know how long I've got to wait. After
let me. In that case, since we're on shared chat, it is shout out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not how you spell that.
Shout out seems to be the command.
Yeah. There we go. And done.
Excellent.
Okay.
So yeah, that's 7 o'clock UK time on a Saturday evening, playing Mythos Classic Fantasy, which is basically old school basic BECMI D&D converted to D100.
Oh, it doesn't appear on your chat.
Ooh, okay, so the shout out's not working.
The shout outs aren't shared, apparently.
That's interesting.
Did it appear when I just did it for
given that the modding...
You just see the Inwalls shout out.
Yeah, now looking at this, yep, I've got a shout out for Chrono on my channel, and I've got a shout out for Inwalls on your channel, but they didn't share across.
Ah, so, interesting.
Interesting to know. We have learnt something, that shout outs do not go across.
No.
So I think in future I may just type the link into chat.
Yeah, I'm also thinking actual bot command.
Yeah,
which would be shared.
Might be the way to go, because that.
Yeah, that would be shared.
Yes, I know that I've seen Techie turn up in my chat before.
Yeah,
when we've been using shared chat, so I know that bot commands will be
shared. Yeah, I let Techie have a night off.
Thank you for pointing that out to us. I foolishly tried to be clever and assumed that the software would.
Foolishly tried to use the software as defined,
which is the mistake I've been making all evening, to be honest. Mostly with Era rather than with Switch.
Thank you very much, Alia. That's much appreciated.
So yeah, I should be playing Classic Fantasy. Hopefully, I'll be playing Classic Fantasy on Saturday anyway, provided we have no player dropouts.
Yeah.
And my character is in deep trouble, I think, because
character's always
went running into town to say bandits are coming and they want to kill us. Specifically, they want to kill me.
Yeah.
And everybody went out front, and the bandits didn't turn up. And then the bandits didn't turn up for a little bit longer. And then the others all wandered off to do other things. And I'm now standing out in the street. Just before they wandered off, I yelled out, "I'm here, I burnt your friends, come and get me." And then everyone wandered off. So now is almost certainly when the bandits will turn up saying, "We want a word with you, you burnt our friends." Burning Hands is a wonderful spell.
I was going to say, I don't
currently have it prepared, so I can't do it again.
I was going to say, I take it you did actually burn their friends.
I did. Oopsie. I Burning Hands to their friends. Yes, but I don't have that memorized at the moment, so I won't be doing that against these guys. And I've got a 44% skill with my stick. My combat style, which is recorded on my character sheet as inept mage flailing. So every time I make an attack, that's what comes up in chat.
I'm sorry, that's brilliant.
44%.
I love that. That's beautiful. Okay.
So yes, it's possible that after this week, I may need, next Saturday, I may need a new character for Classic Fantasy. We'll see.
We shall see. Right. Okay. I am going to end my stream. Thank you very much indeed, Fish, for being patient with me. Going, where is it? And what does that spell do? Before I notice the complete list. And I'm looking forward to playing Stavas, and I'm going to have to complete that bloody Hero Forge mini, aren't I? Which I inadvertently inadvertently created the other day, which is why Stavas is indeed a solid gear.
No, it wasn't Hero Forge, it was Character Artist.
Oh God, no, it was Character Artist, yes, my apologies. Yes, it was Character Artist.
Yeah, so you're going to have to finish up that Character Artist and use that. Yeah,
that works. I can cope with that. Cool. The only question is, Stavas is basically a teenager.
Well here, so Yeah.
So is that every now and then he's going to go, you just don't understand. And people's heads will explode.
So not fair.
I know.
I'll open any low again.
God, nobody gets me. Okay, we're going away now.
Both streams anyway. I shall say, may your dice be hot and your characters cool.
Good night all.